Daytona Beach, Florida, on a beautiful February day. The place nicknamed the birthplace of speed, carrying on the tradition of opening the stock car racing season at world-famous Daytona International Speedway. While they've been racing at this track since 1959, today the fans will see the best of the Daytona they know and love, combined with new elements that bring a whole new look to the day. There's an air of great anticipation in the grandstands, garages, and on the grid as the new NASCAR Nationwide Series season begins today on the massive track at Daytona. I'm Alan Bestwick. Welcome to NASCAR Countdown and the new Nationwide Series season. I'm out on the track because of all the new elements for this race, and there are many, none is more important than this. New paving at Daytona. A $20 million repaving job, the first in 30 years, has resulted in amazing grip for the race cars, super fast speeds, and some new dynamics in the draft that are going to make this race some kind of fun to watch. Speaking of fast, for a quick look at some more of the news stories on the day, here's Dave Burns.
Daytona aligns the NASCAR stars for a nationwide race of astronomical proportions. Former champions, Daytona winners, fan favorites. Some drivers fit all three categories, and Tony Stewart, well, he's made this space his own. He's won this event 5 times. Who among them will shine brightest today?
NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., has won a total of 13 times here at Daytona, but arguably none more meaningful than last July when he climbed aboard a car number 3, painted with Wrangler colors to conjure up visions and memories of his famous father's glory years. And on that night, just like his dad, he refused to lose and finished the evening with a celebration to remember. Today, 10 years after the sport lost Dale Sr., Jr. hopes to put yet another Earnhardt stamp on Daytona, thus tying his dad as the all-time winningest nationwide driver here in this speedway's history. And oh yeah, by the way, today he starts in position number 3.
Where she goes, the crowds go. Danica Patrick is back at Daytona just 1 year after making her debut in NASCAR. Now keep in mind, she has just 13 races under her belt. That's less than half of a regular season. Now she tells me she's more comfortable, but her expectations aren't as high. And after qualifying 4th yesterday, her goal now is to find someone who trusts her in the draft, who will help her. But above all, her main goal is to finish the race.
With NASCAR's new rule that drivers must declare which championship they'll run for in 2011, the door has swung wide open for some new nationwide championship contenders. Drivers like Sadler, Bain, Allgaier, Wallace, Leffler, Almirola. But today is less about the championship and more about the fact that this is Daytona. Will it be one of the Cup stars who reign supreme today, or will a new nationwide star begin to emerge? Either way, Alan Bestwick, we're in for a lot of fun this afternoon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Vince. A lot of great stories for these fans to follow, drivers for them to cheer for or against, and for us to talk about inside our ESPN pit studio, where we have shined everything up for the new year. Still have trouble fitting Big Brad underneath the desk. Glad you joined us for our coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season opener from Speed Weeks 2011. Alan Bestwick with former champion Rusty Wallace, team owner, former National Stock Car Appeals Board member, and the biggest race fan in the world, Brad Daugherty. There's a really fun vibe around this race today.
There's a lot of fun going on here right now, Alan. I'll tell you what, never have I been to Daytona for a nationwide race where I've walked through the garage area and saw so many beautiful race cars. They're all new. They're all shiny. I mean, even the guys that are not so fortunate got beautiful cars. I looked around and I said, man, I have never seen nothing like it. But you can really feel the vibe in the garage area. They're all jacked up. They want to run here at Daytona on this new pavement with this brand new car. And it's very, very electric feeling down here at Daytona right now.
You're absolutely right, Rusty. It's new, new, new. And with that newness creates anticipation. I've been coming here since the 1970s, even though I'm not as old as you two guys. And I have never, ever felt the anticipation that I have felt this racetrack all week long, not only with the drivers, but with the fans. It absolutely just permeates this whole atmosphere. Anticipation. What will we see when they throw that green flag today for these guys and these drivers? What will this track provide? It's going to be outstanding, I do believe.
A lot of the focus this Speed Weeks has been on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and the kind of drafting and racing that the new pavement here at Daytona has resulted in. The 2-car tag team draft, we'll call it. The Nationwide Series cars are different, what kind of racing are we going to see? That two-car tango or the more traditional big pack Daytona racing?
Well, I think we're going to see something totally different than we've ever seen through Speed Week so far. I mean, the Cup cars have been running 2x2 all the way around this racetrack, but I watched the Nationwide cars. They did look more traditional, but right at the very end of practice, I did see some of the 2x2 bump drafting going on, and I will tell you, we saw speeds at over 202 miles per hour in the Nationwide Series before those guys pulled it back a little bit, but they are fast cars, and to me, Alan, they look much racier than the Sprint Cup cars do.
Yeah.
I think they're actually going to put a better race on, personally.
Yeah, the thing they have, though, with these race cars, though, are that the bumpers and the front grills don't line up exactly. So the guys who have experience at drafting and bump drafting will do very, very well. But because of the grip at this racetrack, it's going to bring some of those inexperienced guys who may not quite have the car that the others do into play. So I think that everybody's going to be up amongst them, as we like to say. It's going to be a thrilling day for this Nationwide Series race.
I believe I agree with you. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Sprint Cup Series final practice just finished, rolling the Nationwide cars out to form up the grid for this race. So many new things to look into as the new season begins. In the shadow of this track's great history, new cars, new rules, and a new track surface, something of a new beginning for the Nationwide Series at Daytona.
I waited all my life to play.
When America gets the drive to drive, Daytona is where she does it. For more than 50 years, this high-speed fan favorite set the standard for stock car racing excellence and excitement. But even the best of traditions can use an upgrade. And the time to do it here is right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Daytona 2.0. For the first time in over 30 years, this track has a new surface, improving the high-speed connectivity between driver and fan. As for the Nationwide rides this year, innovation got some classic inspiration. And while the biggest names still come calling, we reset the rules, reclaiming Nationwide as the series' future stars are developed and released to the world. It's a tradition rebooted. Bigger, faster, better. Welcome to the next generation of American racing, Daytona 2.0.
NASCAR Countdown is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
Simply gorgeous in Daytona Beach, Florida today, and there's where it all began. Speed trials on the sands of the beach is what started this city's love affair with racing. They ran stock car and motorcycle races over there until Big Bill France built the Daytona International Speedway just a couple of miles inland on this site in 1959. The first race on this track kind of set the tone for what Daytona racing would become. The first Daytona 500, February 1959, photo finish.
Wow, that was incredible. I'll never forget hearing about that.
Lee Petty, Johnny Beauchamp in a lap car. It took them about 3 days to figure out who actually won the race. The 1960 Daytona 500 saw 68 cars take the green flag, and they had a 37-car crash on lap 2. Some things change, some things stay the same.
And they weren't even bump drafted.
The track was repaved in late 1978. The 79 500, first on the new surface then, was the one with Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough crashing in the fight and Richard Petty winning. And the first race for what is now the NASCAR Nationwide Series was run here February 1982. Dale Earnhardt won it. He won this race in 7 of its first 13 years. Wow. So how will this new track surface affect the kind of racing we'll see at Daytona today? To get a better feel of that for you, our two champion drivers, Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett, went out to get a feel for the new Daytona themselves.
Well, here we are at Daytona, Rusty. Brand new pavement. Let's go see what it's like. What do you think?
I've never been around it since it's been paved. I haven't been on this racetrack since 2005, so I can't wait to get out. Let's do it.
All right, let's go, man.
Okay, man.
Should be a lot of fun as we hit this track. I haven't been on here since 2008.
I'll tell you hey, what is this, a lot wider? Bring it back memories. It's getting me pretty excited, man.
All right, want to welcome you fans to the newly repaved Daytona International Speedway. I'm telling you, this is just an incredible job they've done with this racetrack. It is unbelievably smooth. You can go from the bottom, middle to the top. You've got the same level of grip, Rusty.
All right, man, I'll tell you what, the track is really smooth, a lot of grip. Let's go, buddy. This is bringing back memories to me. I miss racing here. Wow, is this racetrack smooth. Wow. I don't ever remember being this smooth. The bump down to 1 and 2 here, Dale's gone. I know you're up on the top side of the track, but it feels pretty good down here. I don't know about you, Dale. Let's hammer down. Let's get these ESPN cars going. I feel good about it. I tell you what, I'm going to lock in on your bumper right here. I got to see what this new 2x2 draft is feeling like. All right, here we go.
Keep you attached here like those guys do. Hey, Rusty, I was just thinking, I'm having a little bit of a flashback here. I don't know if you remember 1989 Busch Series race, but we were kind of like this right here on the last lap. We had taken the white flag, but you were down closer to the yellow line there, kind of blocking me. Then I went to make a pass on the high side, and I feel like you kind of ran me into the wall. Neither one of us won. What I should have done was hit you kind of like that and then drove by you.
I hear you, man. That 1989 was a good year. That was a good year for me when I won that championship back then. It sure was nice, I'll tell you that.
You know, we saw a lot of hard racing, a lot of hard practicing as these guys are trying to figure out this two-car draft. But we also have seen that if you're not careful, the car in front of you gets a little bit loose. You have to get it out of the throttle. These guys behind you are closing at such a fast rate that they can't see through that, and then it just causes a big chain reaction wreck. I think that's some things that we may see on Saturday and Sunday. All of those places that kind of made Daytona International Speedway what it was for all of those years are now gone. They've done a terrific job in repaving this racetrack to just let these guys be able to race anywhere on this track that they want to. Hey, I've enjoyed it. I appreciate ESPN and NASCAR giving us the opportunity to get out here, be able to bring to the fans exactly what it feels like here now, because it is a totally different racetrack. We're going to see totally different racing on Saturday and Sunday, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be great racing, because these things are going to come down to the last lap. Should be very exciting.
Man, take a look at this pit road, Dale. Look how smooth it is.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of room right here, but we'll also see, as these guys try to pit together, a lot of problems as they enter pit road. You got to be down to pit road speed right there. I think you're speeding.
He busted on me, isn't he?
Speeding on pit road, a little bump going into turn 3.
You know what's outstanding though? I mean, as a former basketball player, I go shoot basketball hoops every once in a while now, and I miss a lot of shots. These two guys, they get in these race cars, hadn't been in them in a long time. They close that window net. They go out there and run 50-50s, 190 miles an hour, and didn't miss a beat. Two of the greatest of all time.
It was a lot of fun and a good opportunity for you and DJ to get a feel for what the new pavement is like for the drivers. What a transition at this racetrack over the past 6 months or so, from just after the races last July to where they finished this up in time to do some testing in December and January. Now, the new pavement has produced tremendous grip for the race cars, which has produced tremendous speeds. As a result, NASCAR's had to make several rules adjustments through the practice sessions here Wednesday and Thursday. First practice, top speed, over 200 miles an hour. They reduced the size of the tapered spacer. Second practice, even faster.
That's impressive.
They just could not slow them down. They had a plan A. They had to go to plan B. Then they went to plan C. Then to plan D. I mean, this track is super fast. And I don't think NASCAR ever anticipated, Alan, that the cars were going to go this quick. But they got them pretty good right now.
All right, so now it's race day. 43 cars on the track at once. The two-car draft. We touched on it a little earlier. Why will it work? Why won't it work in this race today?
Well, the two-car draft will work today, but you got to use extreme caution. These bumpers do not line up near as good as the Cup cars do. In fact, a couple cars actually got their front bumpers under the rear bumper and lifted the guys up and got them very, very loose and almost spun. So Carl Edwards put it best. He said, man, I don't feel real comfortable doing that. So if you're going to do it, you got to be very cautious with it.
The reason why it will work is just what we were talking about earlier. The restrictor plate, the tapered spacer, they suck a lot of horsepower out of these cars. In order to go forward, you have to line up and do the two-car draft. The problem with it is inexperience and lack of patience that we'll have in this series with these young guys. That can create a fiasco at best.
It's going to be a very interesting 300 miles here at Daytona today to see how all this plays out. Up next, Danica Patrick, back for a second go-round at Daytona in that 7-car. In her own words, Danica tells you where she thinks she stands in her stock car learning curve.
I am looking forward to finishing the Nationwide Daytona race, as I didn't last year. It's a big chess match out there. There's passing, there's bumping, there's strategy, there's new tires, which is like a whole nother race car, and you know, those things make it really interesting out there. So yeah, when it's all going average to good, it's really fun.
Looking down on the Daytona International Speedway, our aerial coverage today brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Don't think the folks at Daytona International Speedway could have come up with a better advertisement for Speed Weeks than the weather today. I know it's been a nasty winter around a lot of the country. It is gorgeous here in Florida today. And you see the thousands of folks coming out of the fan zone to spend some time out in the Tri-Oval area before the start of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler. One of the fan traditions, signing their names on the start-finish line.
What an absolutely great opportunity for the fans to come out, get on the racetrack, sign their names, and be a part of history
there you
at
go.
Daytona.
All right, 1 year ago, the media and fan frenzy surrounding Danica Patrick at this racetrack. She came to Daytona to try her hand at stock car racing. Danica is going to run another part season schedule in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, beginning with today's Daytona Nationwide race. Speaking of frenzy, there was quite a buzz during yesterday's qualifying when Patrick had the fastest lap for a while. She ended up 4th on the grid, her best qualifying effort in a stock car. How things went last year and what to expect this year from Patrick in her own words.
Right before the race, when you get to the car, there are just so many people there, and you're just kind of hanging out. People want to come up to you all the time, and then there's just like a sea of cameras, and they keep trying to want to get these shots. It's always awkward when people are just staring at you. I don't know, what are you supposed to do? I've never really felt like the fans were so much of a distraction as much as, I mean, maybe they changed my mind frame a little bit just because I knew so many people were watching, and I want to do well because I want people to have a good reason to cheer for me. I mean, I'm a competitive driver, so I feel like almost embarrassed saying that my best finish was 19th. I mean, that doesn't sound good to me. A lot of the races, the results were not representative of really what was going on that day and how much better we were and how we maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda had a few top 15s, maybe even top 10 here and there. But you got to finish. I mean, that's half the battle in these cars, it seems like. So I think anytime as a driver you are forced to adapt to a situation, it just makes you a better driver overall. And I started getting hit a little bit more deliberately, it seemed like, or just starting to get used as like, I was like a pinball, if somebody just drifted up, they just hit me, and I can't put up with that. So then you do things that are really blatant, and, I just drilled somebody in the rear end at Phoenix, and it's kind of liberating to be able to dig your heels in a little bit and say, I'm not putting up with this stuff anymore. I think that what I need to keep in mind this year is that there's going to hopefully be some good races, some better races than last year even, and with some follow-through on the results to get all the way to the finish line. But to remember that it's really going to be my 13th nationwide, 14th nationwide race, and when I'm done, I will only be at 2/3 of a nationwide season, so I still haven't even done a year. I need to keep that in mind, and it's hard, especially as I'm going to be going back to these tracks again and expecting a lot out of that, and this whole second season. It's not really. I mean, I have to remember that I'm still in my first season, and I hope that it goes really great. And you know, it looks as though I'm out there doing my second full season. But if it doesn't go well, then that's what I'm going to remember.
Well, here's the plan for Danica in the NASCAR Nationwide Series this year. 12 races at 9 tracks. 4 she hasn't run a stock car at before. Notable, the Bristol Bull Ring, March 19th, and the Montreal Road Course in August. Get your reaction to what you just heard, Danica's words about where she's at in her pursuit of stock car racing. What do you think?
Well, I listened pretty close to that piece right there. And one thing I know about her is she's a big-time sponge. I mean, she listens to all the information everybody's telling her and really tries to process it. She really wants to win. She wants to run up front. She wants to get the respect. That's what I'm hearing out of her. And I will tell you, Alan, back in 2006, she was my teammate in the 24 Hours of Daytona. And right then, I learned she's very, very focused. She's into her car, and she wants it real, real bad. She is definitely one of the best female drivers I think I've ever seen. Now, you know what? She is the best I've ever seen. She's a good gal.
What are you expecting from Danica in these races this year in the Nationwide Series?
I expect her to get some top 10 finishes. I really do believe, and I said this last year, I think she is a tremendous race car driver. I would love to see her in this Nationwide Series full time because I think her progress would be unbelievable. I listened to her last year in 2010, though, and it's almost at times like she was contrite when she was talking to the media. Very, very humble. I've listened this year. I've stood in the background and tried to hide and listen in. Well, I can't hide them too good. I stood in the background and listened in on some of the conversations, just trying to listen to her. She sounds very confident, and she's only been to some of these places for the second time around. If she would run the entire series, she would be outstanding. She is a heck of a race car driver.
This is a new car for Danica here at Daytona. She ran last February. That was the old-style Nationwide car. New pavement, new type of drafting, and so on. How will all of that be different for her in this race than it was a year ago?
It's going to be good for her, Alan. This car's got a lot of downforce. It's going to be stuck to this new asphalt really, really good. I think she's going to be able to maneuver this car around a lot better than she's ever done. This is a good opportunity for her here at Daytona today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those IRL cars she drives in some of the places like Texas and Indy, I mean, they're running 240 miles an hour, and they are stuck to the racetrack. She's getting a similar feeling here today, so I think she'll have a lot of confidence. We could see a great finish for Danica Patrick today.
Just thinking about you trying to hide in the background and be inconspicuous. And listen, you can hide in the 100-acre cornfield. Coming up, it's not just a new season for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. There's a whole new set of rules, cars, and circumstances for teams, drivers, and fans to figure out. The Nationwide Series New World Order when NASCAR Countdown continues from the Daytona International Speedway before this season opener. The newly repaved Daytona International Speedway, where the new NASCAR Nationwide Series season is about to begin. The new next-generation race cars lined up on the grid, ready to take the green flag in a little while. The new car is just part of a new look for this series in 2011. For example, there is a new simplified system of earning points toward the championship. The 43-1 points awarded for the first through 43rd place finishers. Championship eligibility. Drivers can only race for the title in one NASCAR series. So the Cup guys really no longer eligible this year. The next generation car will run in all the races this year. And the E15 ethanol blend Sunoco fuel and the closed loop fueling system that reduces by 1 the number of crew members servicing each car on pit stops. So new pit procedures as well. The new rules for who can win the championship have created something of a new world order in the Nationwide Series.
I'm racing for a Nationwide Championship.
I'm racing for the Sprint Cup Championship.
Nationwide Championship.
Sprint Cup Championship.
Nationwide
Sprint Cup.
For a Nationwide Sprint Cup.
Nationwide Sprint Cup Championship.
I think it's a great time now to change it and get back to the old ways, and we'll have Nationwide Series champions.
The Cup Series is the premier racing series in the world. So I don't ever see a guy checking the Nationwide box if he has the opportunity to run the Cup Series. And maybe that's the genius of what NASCAR is doing. It's going to give the guys that are trying to make a name for themselves an opportunity to do that. At the same time, you're still going to have the Cup guys in there to measure yourself against.
I'm participating in the Nationwide Series. Carl's still going to race. Kevin, all your names that have been, running both for the last several years, these guys are still going to run it. It's still an important series.
I think you're going to see a little different battle. You're going to see a battle of the Nationwide only drivers, and then you're going to see the battle every Saturday trying to beat the Cup regulars that come down and race with you.
Everybody always says you're only as good as your competition. So I want to race against those guys, but I don't want to race against them for a championship. championship.
Since his last year where, you know, basically I might have not took a chance at wrecking to finish third. And, you know, basically I'm going to stick it on in there now. We might have to rub some fenders with them. We might have to beat some doors with them, you know, and those are going to be the guys that they don't want to be having that happening to them.
It's going to build a camaraderie around these nationwide drivers. So you can be like, all right, who's leading the points right now? You know, and it's going to kind of shift that focus not only on the Cup drivers who might be leading the race, but also on the points battle that's going on among the nationwide drivers.
And there's going to be more coverage given to the guys that are racing on that series on a week-to-week level from a media standpoint, just because they're going to be competitive for a championship.
We can build a brand now as drivers, you know, as champions. We know that a nationwide regular is going to win the championship this year, and I think that's important for moving forward.
Well, of all the new things in the Nationwide Series for 2011, the change that's drawn the most buzz has been that one where drivers must declare which championship they're going to run for. Want to bring in all of our analysts, Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie from the booth, along with Rusty and Brad here in the pit studio, and talk about the pros, the cons, and the effects of this particular change. Brad, you first.
I think the thing that we'll see happen is what you heard a couple of the guys mention, like Brad Keselowski. You're going to see the Cup guys who come in and race against these Nationwide guys just have their race cars on kill and be ready to go to the wall to win these races. So if you're a Nationwide guy and you're running up front with 5 laps to go, you better hope you get a caution so you can tighten them belts up, because it's going to be a heck of a finish.
Yeah, but the question is going to be, guys, is this champion going to be worthy, the Nationwide Series champion? It's not going to be one of the Cup stars this year. It's going to be somebody that's declared their eligibility for this series. And is he going to be worthy of it? I believe that somebody's going to step up and do that, because we've seen drivers like Brad Keselowski. He won races in this series when he wasn't a Cup star, and he won the championship when he was. But I believe somebody's going to step up, whether it's Trevor Bayne or Eric Almirola or maybe even Justin Allgaier. One of those guys will step up and win races to win this title.
Well, DJ, if somebody steps up, is it going to have to be a guy that's with one of those Cup-affiliated teams? I'll give you an example. Brian Scott is driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Some of the guys Andy just mentioned driving for an independent Nationwide team. You got to be with a Cup-affiliated team?
Well, it certainly is going to be an advantage if you do that, Alan. No doubt about that. These guys with Roush Fenway, Trevor Bayne, Ricky Stenhouse, they certainly have an advantage there. Elliott Sadler with KHI, they certainly have a lot of experience there, a lot of resources they can get to. Rusty's teams have that with Toyota, so a lot of things there. But I'm not going to say that you have to have that, because a team like Turner Motorsports that has a big group of drivers there that work together and can get some help, I think that they can certainly show that they're very capable of running up there too.
Well, you know, there's a complete different thing I'm thinking about, Alan, really. I mean, I'm looking at Brad, Carl, Kyle, those guys, and I think about Jimmy Johnson when I'm thinking about this. I mean, Jimmy Johnson is a guy that's won 5 championships in a row. This guy is incredibly focused at what he's doing, and he's not running the trucks. He's not running Nationwide. He's not running any of that. He's focused on that Cup car. Yet Brad and Kyle and those guys are out there winning races. They're running good. They're running up front, but they can't seem to get that championship won. I just got to believe that that's a little bit of a distraction. I mean, I would be looking and saying, what is Jimmy Johnson doing? And I'd probably be doing the same thing.
You're thinking that maybe just focusing on the Cup side might be a better thing. So in a way, being forced to not run for the Nationwide Championship might help him on the Cup side.
It probably will. I mean, It takes incredible focus to run in the Cup Series, and Johnson's doing it perfectly. And if I were those guys, I'd be doing what he's doing.
All valid points. I give the bonus point to Petrie, because I do agree that the championship has got to be credible to the fans, and somebody's got to step up and go for it, and I agree somebody will. Nice job, Andy.
Thanks, Alan.
I give the bonus point to me.
Yeah, well, I would expect you would. Let's hear from some drivers that fall on opposite sides of this new rule, starting with Jamie Little.
That's right, and Carl Edwards isn't eligible for the Nationwide Championship, but you are planning on running all of the races, Carl. So with that said, what are some of your goals today and the rest of the season?
The goals today are simple. It's to get a Ford Mustang to victory lane. You know, I've got Ricky Stenhouse and Trevor Bayne. They're starting near me, and our Fastenal, I keep wanting to say Fastenal Fusion. It's a Ford Mustang. They're fast, and I think that this new engine, all the work the guys have done in the offseason are going to give us, that's going to give us a really good chance to run well. So the first goal is not to wreck. Second goal is to get Ford to victory lane, and it would be great to be the guy standing there after the end of this race with the trophy.
Now, your crew chief, Mike Beam, he told me this morning he was embarrassed last year with the way you guys ran with this new car. What are your expectations now?
Mike has done a great job, and no need for him to be embarrassed about anything. We tried our very hardest. We just didn't have the same, I don't want to say quality of equipment. We just didn't have the same package that some of those other guys had. I feel that now we've got something we can race with. So everybody's really excited on the team. The guys, after that qualifying lap, they got smiles on their faces. They know that we've got something we can race with.
All right. Daytona is one of 4 active tracks Roush Fenway has never won at. Carl Edwards hopes to change that. Vince?
Well, from row 5 with Carl Edwards to row 3 with Justin Allgaier, Rookie of the Year in the Nationwide Series 2 seasons ago, 4th in points last year. So what's 2011 going to be for Justin Allgaier?
I don't know. You know, obviously with the new rule change, we're going to obviously go for the championship. And being a new team, new car, new sponsor and brand, and having that Chevy power, the Hendrick horsepower that we've got this weekend, I think we've got a great shot, not only today, but throughout the rest of the year. It's been a lot of fun so far here at Speed Weeks.
All up and down the garage, everybody's talking about the importance of your partner today. Who are you going to be looking for?
Well, unfortunately, Jason Leffler in the AccuDoc car, we drafted really well in practice. And being a teammate, it makes it really nice to be able to have that teammate pushing you. Unfortunately, we out-qualified all of them by a little bit, so, you know, hopefully he can get through the field pretty quickly and get up there towards the front. If not, you know, there's a couple of guys up front that don't necessarily have any teammates, so, you know, hopefully we can work well with somebody. And, you know, as we've seen in all the races and the duels and everything like that, and in practice, it's just going to be about getting that one partner that you work really well with and shoving them to the front. And I think the Chevys work really, really well together, and the noses seem to line up to the rear bumper pretty well. So hopefully we can find another Chevrolet out there to work with and you know, put one of us in victory lane.
Looking for somebody to dance with, Alan. Justin will roll off 5th today.
Vince, thanks. And another driver we expect to contend for the win today, also driving a Chevy. We expect to contend for the championship this year as well, is Elliott Sadler, driver of that number 2 machine. The Virginia native taking a road less traveled as the path back to racing happiness.
I'll be honest with you, my goal is to win this championship. My expectations, honestly, is a great season if we win the championship. If we finish second in the championship, it will be a huge disaster.
The live scene at Daytona International Speedway as ESPN's NASCAR Countdown gets you set for today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler. The 43 drivers in today's race about to be introduced before they'll buckle in and get after it. The driver-to-driver conversations behind the introduction stage, always a good one. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. left, talking to Bobby Santos III on the right, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series champion, offering a little advice. Earnhardt Jr. offering a car to Santos after a practice crash the other day for the Massachusetts native. Now, among the drivers getting ready to go, Elliott Sadler, the Sprint Cup Series veteran, who is no stranger to this series. A native and still resident of Emporia, Virginia, Sadler took a familiar path to racing's big time, from karts as a kid to the local short track. He raced full-time in the Nationwide Series in 1997 and 98, winning 5 times before moving to the Sprint Cup Series, where he's competed for the last 12 seasons, winning 3 times. He has got a couple of Gatorade Dual wins here at Daytona in 04 and 06. This year, Sadler's going to run the Nationwide Series full-time for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, looking to show others he's still a big-time race driver, and to show himself racing can still be fun.
I feel very stable and very confident in my career right now. I hadn't had this in a long time. I feel like I'm a great race car driver. I feel like I've proven myself in the past.
Here they come to the flag. Sadler wins it. Sadler by half a car length.
I have to prove myself again. The last few years, and my wife said it best, we have felt like we've been standing on the side of a mountain, on a cliff, just waiting for somebody to run up behind us and push us off. Can you imagine living your life like that each and every day? Is tough.
The speculation surrounding Richard Petty Motorsports and the team's future continues to swirl.
The future of Richard Petty Motorsports remains an hour-by-hour proposition. If he's successful, they'll make it to season's end, but that's a big if.
The lowest point, I think, is as a driver when you don't feel like you have a gun in a gunfight. And you feel like that you're just kind of a step kid.
Financial instability continues to haunt the organization as each of the team's haulers were delayed at the Texas Motor Speedway.
When you feel like you've got stuff that other people don't want, used and old equipment, and you're driving that because nobody else wants to, that's hard.
Oh, whoa, troubles! Sadler took a hard lick right there.
And we're done. We're done. It's only going to get worse this run. Only going to get worse.
That's really hard to show up and just put your heart and soul into it when you feel like nobody else is on the same page. You know, we didn't know if I'd be a race car driver anymore. But I want to race. Okay, I've done all this other stuff. It's not fun. It's not fun playing chess every day of your life. It's more fun racing.
Set to take Kevin Harvick Incorporated to victory lane.
Elliott Sadler is going to win the first race at Pocono for the trucks.
Getting an opportunity to drive Kevin Harvick's truck last year saved my career. It saved the way I looked at racing. It saved my mentality on getting in the race car. It saved my love for racing because I got in some equipment and racing around people that wanted to race. That was the #1 objective, and it changed. It helped me get through a tough 2010. Just like Kevin always says, you just don't forget how to drive.
Congrats! Awesome!
This is the right decision to go back to Nationwide, to get my confidence back up, to go contend. Is it taking a step back? Well, it's not racing on Sunday, but if I can come back to this series and be competitive and outrun everybody that's going to be racing on Saturday, I feel like people will know who Elliott Sadler is again.
Elliott Sadler getting set to go in that #2 car today at Daytona, hoping to end the day holding a trophy. He is lined up 19th on the grid. Dale Jarrett is a close friend of Sadler's. DJ, some people might look a little sideways at Sadler coming back to the Nationwide Series, but through personal experience, you know this can be a good thing.
Yeah, Alan, you're exactly right. And Elliott and I have had this discussion. In 1989, towards the end of the year, I was driving for Cale Yarborough. We lost our sponsor. I was back in the Busch Series with my own stuff here in Daytona. Didn't run the Daytona 500 in 1990, but through other things, I eventually got a ride with the Wood Brothers, which resurrected my career. Elliott and I talked about this thing. I could tell at Pocono last year when he won that race, that truck race, this was a different person. I knew exactly what he wanted, what made him happy, as it does all competitors. You just want to run well. This was the best scenario for him, as people were starting to question because he was in such a bad situation. Now he has that opportunity to show him once again, and he will, that he is a very competitive race driver and can get the job done. He'll be back in the Cup Series very shortly.
I think the thing that resonated most with me listening to Elliott there was for racing to be fun again. Got to be fun if you're going to win.
Yeah, you got to have a good time. It can be a whole lot like work, and you don't want that as a race driver.
You don't want that in TV either. DJ, thanks. We appreciate it very much. We'll talk to you for the call of the race shortly. Elliott Sadler getting ready to go today here at Daytona. Now, no one has had more success in this Daytona Nationwide Series race than the late Dale Earnhardt. Of course, this weekend, the 10th anniversary of Earnhardt's passing has prompted the telling of many stories, bringing back many great memories.
My son Dale passed him on the last lap of the 1993 Daytona 500 and denied Dale Sr. still another chance at winning the Daytona 500.
You know who I'm pulling for. It's Dale Jarrett. Bring her to the inside, Dale. Don't let him get down there.
I was working for CBS, and so I went from being supposedly a professional announcer to being a dad on that last lap.
Super job there, Dale. I tell you, I'm really proud of you. You did just exactly what you had to do, like I told you, right?
That's right, exactly like you told me all along, Dad. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it. This is a great day.
The next Sunday, we were at Rockingham, North Carolina, and I caught him on the way to the driver's meeting, and he was on one side of the fence, and I was on the other side, and I said, Dale, I need to talk to you. He said, man, congratulations, you guys on winning that Daytona 500 last week. I said, that's what I want to talk to you about. I said, I didn't handle that right for you and your fans. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I was pulling for my son on national television to beat you. And I said, that's not the way that it ought to be done. And he looked me straight in the eyes, punched his finger through the holes of that fence, and said, don't you ever forget, I'm a daddy too.
Great story from Gentleman Ned about the late Dale Earnhardt, and everyone who has interacted with him in this sport over the years has many thoughts and stories. Of course, Dale Earnhardt's record for most Nationwide Series wins at Daytona could be equaled today by his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who certainly has a good shot. We'll talk with Jr. about that in just a little while. He starts on the inside of row number 2. Want to get some stories from all of our analysts about their interactions with Dale Earnhardt Sr. over the years. Stories are fun when you're thinking back and remember, and I know you got one for us. Give me a Dale story.
Well, I mean, he's just such a practical joker. I mean, we all know he's one of the greatest race car drivers in the world. He's fantastic behind the wheel, but it was 1989. I just finished winning the championship, and he's called me up and said, hey, man, come over to my race shop. I want to hang out, drink a couple Miller Lights with you. I said, okay. So I went over there, and I'm looking at all his stuff, and he's got this big old bow and arrow. I said, man, what's that thing? What do you got going on there? Hey, let's go outside real quick. I'm going to show it to you. Well, his shop, Alan, was made out of wood down the sides, a big old wood building. We went out there, and he pulled that bow and arrow back, and he shot that baby, and he thought it was just going to stick on the side of the building. It went completely through the building. His eyes got that big, and he went, oh, my gosh. And he ran up to the building, and I chased him. We ran inside. He had his brand new Daytona 300 sportsman car sitting there, we call it. Yeah. That arrow went right through the side of the building, right through the wheel well opening, and right through his brand new radiator of his race car. Tore his car all up. He's like, oh, man, this is too good of a bow and arrow.
That's fun. DJ and Andy are listening in upstairs. I know, Andy, you got to have an Earnhardt story.
Yeah, it's not a funny story. That's quite funny about that one. But my impression with Earnhardt was my very first race with him was down here for the 500 and Speed Weeks. And I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for that race because I'd just taken the job. And it was unusual for me because I was usually spending weeks and even months getting ready for the Daytona 500 and preparing the cars. And we just didn't have cars like I thought we needed. As a matter of fact, I was very disappointed in what we were bringing down here, but just no time to get them right. Thinking, well, we're just going to have to suffer through this and see what happens. We came down here, and he won the Bud Shootout with the backup car, which wasn't even nearly as good as the other car, and neither one of them were up to snuff. And then he won the 125 qualifying race at the time and almost won the 500. We just heard about how Dale Jarrett beat us on the last lap to win that one, but I just could not believe how good of a driver that Dale Earnhardt was. I got it firsthand that very first race, and I was so impressed.
Wow, that's fun. Big Brad, got an Earnhardt story?
I surely do. I mean, as a lot of people know, I'm a race fan. I've been kicking around these racetracks for 30 years. And this was back in the 90s. I had stumbled into Charlotte Motor Speedway, Lowe's Motor Speedway, and I was walking down pit road, and one of the track officials who I knew I was going to talk to me says, Dale Earnhardt wants to see you right away. And I'm like, oh, man, what does he want with me? So I go stumbling back through the garage area, and I get to his hauler, and I walk up in the back. He's in the back there, and I walk in and I say, hey, Dale, how's it going, Brad Dart? He says, yeah. He said, you're just the guy I want to see. He stuffs a hat into my hand. He says, I've just opened a brand new car dealership. You're the tallest cat in these garages. This would be great marketing for my new car dealership. Will you please wear this hat all day? I said, sure, anything for you, man. I'll help you out any way I can.
I do that same thing, man. That's good advertisement on your head.
Oh, that's fun. We started our Dale stories with Gentleman Ned. DJ, got a Dale story to wrap it up for us?
Yeah, gosh, we could tell all kinds of stories about racing with Dale, but I'm going to go to the other side of it a little bit, and it goes to my championship year, as I was trying to figure out how to get family and friends, about 33 of them, to New York City for our banquet to enjoy it with me. I called Dale Earnhardt. I said, I know you've got a plane big enough. This is how many people I have. I said, I'd like to rent it. He said, yeah, no problem. They got our people there, got them to the hotel, made it everything great and very easy for them, got them back home after it was all over. So as we're getting into December, right before Christmas, my accountant said, look, I need all of your bills, everything, so we can get prepared for taxes later on. And so I called Dale. I said, look, I haven't received the bill for the rental of your airplane yet. He said, oh, yeah, no problem. He said, I'll get that right to you. 2 days later, go to the mailbox, get something. It's from Dale Earnhardt. I opened it up to see exactly what the damage was going to kind of be. Not that it really mattered at that time. So I opened up the bill. There it was. It said rental of plane for Dale Jarrett and Kelly. Said goes to the very bottom. Congratulations on your championship. No charge. Big heart of Dale Earnhardt.
That's fun. Wow. Everyone who crossed paths with Dale Earnhardt has stories to tell about him. Some great memories here this week as we remember the great Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting ready to try and equal his dad's record for Nationwide Series wins at this Daytona track. We'll talk to Junior as well as the man on the left, Clint Boyer, who starts on the pole for this race when NASCAR Countdown continues from Daytona Beach. Sunday night, ESPN proudly presents Wendell Scott, A Race Story.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Scott's one of my true heroes, a true legend of the sport. And thanks to NASCAR Media Group for giving us a chance to experience just a piece of Mr. Scott's life.
Sunday night, 9 Eastern on ESPN, immediately followed by NASCAR Now and our Daytona 500 post-race show. No question, one of the favorites to win this race today is Tony Stewart. Just introduced to the crowd, Smoke has won this race 5 of the last 6 years, including the last 3 straight.
All right, guys, championship all-star team.
Tony Stewart uses the draft to slide by. Tony Stewart, the pole sitter, will come down and win the season opener at Daytona. Kyle Busch
got him loose.
Gets him the shove and comes on the inside.
What a job Tony Stewart did to hold the lead.
Tony Stewart, for the 4th time, is a winner at Daytona.
Allgaier's got the run on the high side. Now he's going to look low.
Here comes
Meanwhile, he's going to crash. While they spin, coming down the front straightaway, it's going to be all Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart doesn't run the Nationwide Series very often. In fact, this is the only time you'll run it this year. What have you found unique about this new generation Nationwide car?
Well, I'm not sure at Daytona here you're going to learn all the neat things about it, but, you know, it's still the basic concept of what we're doing on the Cup side. Instead of fancy bump stops, they just do it the old-fashioned way with coil bind in the spring, which I like that. It's simpler. It's easier to understand what's doing what, but, man, Kevin Harvick, and these guys, every time I've come here, they always bring a good car. And I know it didn't show up qualifying-wise, but I think we got a car that's going to be pretty good for the race here again.
They say this is a wild card race, but you won this race 5 of the last 6 times. That doesn't sound like much of a wild card to me. What gives?
I mean, we've been lucky to have really good race cars here. And you know, I got my first one here with Kevin and Delana and got one last year with them, too. So just really proud to be driving for Kevin and Delana and having Oreos and Ritz on the car again this year. It's cool. I have a lot of fun with sponsors like this.
I bet you do. Tony Stewart, certainly the favorite, but if anybody's going to get him today, it might be Kyle Busch. He won just about everything a year ago.
Will it be Busch? Going for the wire. In the win goes to Busch.
5 in a row.
He is going to write another page of history.
61 to victory lane, boys.
Of a dominating year, 41st win of his nationwide career, a record-setting 13th win of 2010 for Kyle Busch.
Well, one thing that Kyle's 2010 did not include was a victory here at the World Center of Speed. So with all of the varying strategies, well, I guess there's one strategy, the 2-car lock, but the relative inexperience connected to today's event, what do you expect out of today?
I expect all the Cup guys to get together and kind of figure it out and start pushing each other. And some of the Nationwide guys will probably lay back a little bit and wait more towards the end of the race. But we'll see how it plays out. You know, I like our chances. I feel like the Z-Line Designs Camry's really good. All my vehicles have been good in the draft. We saw that a little bit last night with the Dollar General Toyota Tundra. And hopefully we see it again today. And, of course, tomorrow with the M&M's Camry. So, all in all, it's, you know, it comes down to circumstances and just trying to be in the right place at the right time and working with a partner, trying to find somebody that you can work well with.
You mentioned last night you finished 5th in the truck race. The guy who won, you have drafted very well with here this week, Michael Waltrip. How important will he be to a victory today for you?
I mean, he could be big. You know, these cars, you can do the same thing and you can push. It's just all about trying to keep the water temperature to a level that's moderate and not to exceed a certain degree. So for us, it's going to be about trying to figure that out today. You know, how far offset do you have to get from the guy in front of you, or you know, how long can you push that guy?
All right, thanks, Kyle. Good luck today. Now, the last time the Nationwide Series raced here, it was an old-school paint scheme that ushered in the new era.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. driving this 3-car in honor of his father. How about this? The 3-car to the lead on the 3rd lap at Daytona.
How appropriate this is.
The new leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., shuffled by Kyle Busch. He's had a great run all night. Here they come to the checkered flag, and Earnhardt is going to drive a number 3 car to victory lane at Daytona again.
That's chills right there. His father would be extremely proud.
Man, you know, we lost everything here, and to come back with that number and do this, that means everything.
Dale, we just showed folks last July, you had thousands here and millions at home jumping up and down as you drove that Wrangler 3-car to victory lane here. When you reflect back on that night, what do you cherish most about that win?
I just winning races, getting trophies, and doing it with Tony Jr., that whole team, my team. It was just a good feeling with that group, you know, and the way the car is probably my favorite part, man. It's just a great paint scheme. It's a beautiful race car, and I felt really lucky and fortunate to have had the opportunity to have drove it and in competition, and I'll be grateful for that forever.
Let's talk about today, Dale. How torn are you early on in doing what's right for you and your car versus trying to help your talented but inexperienced teammate Danica in the early laps?
Well, I'm not really worried about it. She'll drive her race and I'll drive mine, you know, just like everybody else in the field. And you help whoever you can help, and when you think you need to help them, and
when you think you need to, whatever's good for you at the time. That's how you win these races. It's looking out for number one, really. I mean, it's the way it is in these races. You do whatever you need to do to win the race, and that's what I'm going to do.
Hey, thanks for being the in-race reporter, and good luck today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
If you'd like to ask Dale Earnhardt Jr. a question, you can log on to ESPN.com. Key phrase, ask the driver, and maybe your question will be selected by Dale Jarrett to ask Junior here just before the green flag waves. Alan?
All right, Doc, thanks. Those three drivers we just talked to sure are good candidates for the win today. Junior, 6 Daytona wins. Stewart, 5. Kyle has the 1, but if not for Stewart, probably could have a couple, 3 more.
That's right.
We will see if those three, one of those 3 ends up in victory lane today. So with the new season and all the new cars, drivers in different places, different paint schemes, there are so many different looks for you to keep an eye on today. Want to bring all of our analysts in to just pick out one person or group for you to watch for during this race. Rusty, start us off.
I'm going to look at Elliott Sadler. I think he's got a great opportunity. Everything that Kevin Harvick brings to this racetrack is super fast all the time. This could be a career rebuilder for Elliott Sadler driving for Harvick, and it can start here today.
Andy, who you watching?
I'm intrigued, Alan, by that Turner Motorsports team. They've got 3 drivers that are eligible for the championship this year: Jason Leffler, Justin Allgaier, and Reed Sorensen, and I think they're going to be very worthy candidates for that championship. They also have a Cup driver today. It's Casey Kane driving the other car. So look for this team to be a contender for the championship and to win races.
Be fun to watch. Big Brad?
For me, it's going to be the JR Motorsports guys. I mean, you're looking at Earnhardt Jr. and Danica Patrick, obviously, but this guy right here, Eric Almirola, he came out of the Joe Gibbs stable and diversity drivers, dominated late models, did a great job in trucks, has run Cup stuff some, but he is really good in this nationwide car. He's a talented young man, and he's a young guy as well. Got a great career ahead of him.
All right, DJ, speaking of young.
Yeah, Trevor Bayne turns 20 today. I didn't drive a race car until I was 20 years old for the first time. He has a great opportunity at Roush Fenway. He got some great experience on Thursday, drafting with Jeff Gordon all day long. And not only could he win here today, he could win this championship this year.
All right, we'll keep an eye on all of those, and we'll help you out with who's in what car today as the new season begins for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Clint Boyer, the former series champ, on the pole for this race. We'll talk to Kansas Clint as we get ready for the new season to begin for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Daytona.
ESPN. NASCAR Countdown is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, the no-wait, no-hassle way to a great morning. Rent-A-Center, where there are never any long-term commitments to tie you down. And TaxSlayer.com, $9.95 for your federal tax return.
The big, beautiful, and fast Daytona International Speedway gets set to host the season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, a 300-miler that begins shortly. Let's hear from the drivers that start on the front row, starting with Jamie.
Well, for Clint Boyer, it's been 8 years since he's raced a KHI Nationwide Series car. But, Clint, you're one of a handful of drivers who's actually pitted with this new fueling system. What kind of curveballs do you think that's going to throw into today's race?
Well, you know, today I don't think it'll be a big deal. But, you know, that carrier, the rear carrier, has got a lot of new role, a big role. You know, he does all the adjustments now, adjustments that the catch can man that's not there anymore used to do. So when we go on into these short tracks, the intermediate tracks, where we're making adjustments, I think, you know, there's going to be a little bit of chaos till they get it all down pat and smoothened out. But I think it's going to be full speed ahead. I'm looking forward to today's race. It's so fun to be able to race at Daytona, compete in this Nationwide Series. Ream's on board. The car looks great. The guys worked their tails off, and it showed. I was really proud of their efforts yesterday on qualifying day. That's all about them, and hopefully today we can put them in victory lane.
All right, Clint Boyer won here from the pole in 2009. He once again is your pole sitter. Dave Burns?
And Jamie, one of qualifying's fun surprises, Landon Castle on the outside of row number 1, 21 years old. This is your 33rd start, I do believe, in the Nationwide Series. So what do you think lap 1 is going to be like going down into turn 1?
It's going to be really cool. You know, I'm just really proud of my Phoenix Racing team, James Finch, giving me this opportunity. I'm just proud to be up here in a race. You know, I've had to work hard getting in the field, and James kind of gave this race to me as a gift, so I'm going to try to make the best of it.
Doing what he can for the one team, part-time this year, and a great start to the season, guys.
All right, Dave, thanks. Jamie mentioned when talking to Clint Boyer, the new system now being used to refuel the cars on pit stops, the closed fueling system that eliminates the catch can man on pit road. Let's take a look at it. In our Craftsman Tech Garage is, as always, champion crew chief Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. You're right. The new refueling system takes away from the efforts of the catch can man. That takes 43 people off pit road. But the system, very unique. The fuel still has to go in here and the air exhausted through here. But with the new system, what we've got right in this area here, the fuel goes down through the center of the receiver right here. The air comes out the outside. The trick is, Alan, you have to go straight in with this system and straight out, because if it's at any different angle other than straight, it might hang up in the receiver, and you might see this can go down pit road. AB?
A lot of pit crews spent a lot of time this winter trying to adjust their stop choreography to that new system. We'll see how it plays out in the opener here today at Daytona. That's one thing to watch for. Let's talk about a few other things to watch for in this race. The new pavement, a new tire to go with the pavement that's not showing much wear, and that new fueling system means we're going to see some huge strategy.
There's going to be some big changes. I mean, this tire you talked about, this tire is so good here at Daytona. A lot of teams are talking about not even changing tires. What's that do? That means you can put 6 guys over the wall if you wanted to. I'm hearing right now you're going to see 2 gas guys go over the wall with 2 gas cans, and some of the teams even have left-handed and right-handed gassers, so they can put that thing right in the side, jerk it right out, put the other end real quick, meaning for very, very fast refueling stops. But boy, they're going to get it right on. Just like Tim said, if they mess up, it could hang up, Brad, and go right down pit road.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those gas cans they have some problems with those gas cans where the air comes back out into those venting tubes. If you don't hit that bad boy just perfect, it pumps air back up to that gas can. It'll stop that can, and it'll cause you about an extra 3 seconds of time to empty that can.
Interesting conversations about where you want to be on the last lap, leading or behind the leader trying to make the slingshot. What do you hear?
I've been watching this a long time, and I think the guy in front, unfortunately, he is driving through the mirror. I want to be second if I can, which they won't let me on the racetrack, but I want to be second because I want to drive through that windshield instead of the mirror.
No way, man. I want to be leading that baby, and I'll take my chances. You know, I want to stay up front. I like the #1 position all the time.
All right, last question. Tony Stewart or somebody else today?
Oh, Tony Stewart. Give me Tony Stewart, and you can have the field, Jack.
No, man, going to be somebody else. He's won a whole bunch here. I mean, it's time for something different.
That's why I'm taking Tony Stewart.
Okay. Thought you were playing the law of averages there for a minute, but going to go with the favorite, huh?
Yes, sir.
So many unknowns, so many new things to watch here today. Will it be Tony or somebody else? How about Junior? Can he equal Dad's record on this weekend? Can you imagine what the reception for that would be out on the grandstand? Will the white flag leader be the first of the checkered flag? And then something else we really haven't touched on much. Will there be the big wreck?
Oh, don't even want to think about it. Don't even want to think about it.
All going to play out on the newly paved, super fast Daytona International Speedway in the season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. It's coming up next.
In 2011, the Nationwide Series got an upgrade, released to the world on racing's biggest platform, Daytona 2.0. New track, new cars, new rules. And as the drivers prepare to go green, the last step on this long-awaited day stands. Who you gonna run with? New and improved, these young guns have arrived and are not holding back. Daytona is the biggest stage. Their best chance to make a name for themselves in a hurry. They are some of the biggest names in the racing world. New rules be damned.
Give him a push here. It's going to be all Tony Stewart.
These heavy hitters are in it.
Kyle Busch will do it
to win it. A mix of grit and glamour. Danica attracts a lot of attention even before she gets behind the wheel. With 1 season under her belt, it's time to start turning heads on the track.
Whoa, Danica Patrick.
He has the 2nd most wins here, trailing only his legendary father. For racing's biggest star, this day will see emotions riding as high as the speeds on the fresh asphalt. The reboot is complete. The tools and talent set. Final choice in hand. Who you gonna run with?
A new season with many new and different circumstances, creating a heightened sense of anticipation and excitement as we get ready for the start of the 300-mile NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Daytona International Speedway. Beautiful new race cars, the Mustangs and Impalas, the Challengers and Camrys, ready to be driven at nearly 200 miles an hour by drivers both familiar to the sport's biggest stage and some new to the Daytona draft. Should be a thrill-filled afternoon, capped by another frantic finish this track has been known for throughout the years. Time for us to go trackside now for today's opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical Air Force ROTC Honor Guard present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Reverend Victor E. Gooden, Senior Pastor of New Life Ministries, Holly Hill, offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. God, we thank you for this great day. Protect each driver and the racing team. Send an angelic escort for those who are here as they return home. Bless the city of Daytona Beach, the county of Volusia, the state of Florida. And God, while you're blessing, bless the great United States of America, the great red, white, and blue. And we thank you, and in your name we pray. Amen, amen, and amen.
Since debuting DRIVE last year, she has helped more than 1 million Americans get screened for their risk of COPD. We are honored to have Grammy award-winning country music star Patty Loveless perform our national anthem.
No, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts they watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's been 91 days since the last race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. For these drivers and a lot of fans, it seems like an eternity ago. The wait is over. We race at Daytona next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Daytona is presented by GoDaddy.com, domains, websites, and everything in between. And in part by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
The high banks of Daytona International Speedway, where all of NASCAR's greats have tested themselves and their machines over the years. In a moment, a field of 43 will take to the track as the 30th season of racing for the NASCAR Nationwide Series begins. Tony Stewart won to watch the last 3 straight, 5 of the last 6 years. He's gone to victory lane at the end of this race. Can he do it again today here at Daytona? Another driver to watch, Michael Waltrip, the 2-time Daytona 500 winner. He won last night's NASCAR Camping World Series truck race here with a last lap pass. Michael, of course, so much in the remembrances of Dale Earnhardt. Michael winning that 2001 race, driving for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated at the time. An emotional win for him here last night. No one would be surprised if Michael went to victory lane again today. He starts in 26th position. Marty Reed, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie are upstairs getting set to call the race. Knowns and unknowns. There are so many things that the experienced drivers know that maybe some of the more inexperienced drivers are about to find out, huh, Marty?
Absolutely, Alan. Hello again, everybody. Glad that you're with us for another season. Experience versus inexperience. Dale Jr. maybe said it best in the pre-race and also yesterday after qualifying when he said, hey, even when I came here the first couple times, nobody wanted to dance with me around this track either.
Yeah, and we have some less experienced drivers up with some very fast race cars, and they may feel like for at least half of this race they have no friends whatsoever. But what they're going to have to do is become pushers, and good pushers, and show that they have the experience and the talent to make sure that they can work well in the draft with someone. They may be surprised by the end of things today that they might get someone pushing on their bumper by showing some courtesy out there, doing the right things throughout the day. They may get that push they need to get to the front.
Hey, let's be fair. When Dale Jr. came here for the first time, he wound up upside down on his lid. So there's a reason that people may not want to run with the younger drivers. But I do believe today, with this new drafting technique that we've seen in the new track, I believe that this inexperience is going to hurt a lot of these drivers. They're going to have to really learn quickly during this race to be a factor at the end, because the Cup drivers kind of got it down pat.
Well, let's talk about the other elements here. I mean, tire wear has been non-existent on this new surface, but the new closed-end refueling system, what are we going to see on pit road?
Well, that refueling system is going to be tricky, and we're going to see problems on pit road. I do believe that it could affect the outcome of the race, but somebody having a problem with it. The track is so smooth and the tire wear is so little that you're going to see all of the focus, if not most of the focus, on the refueling of the race cars.
Got just a few seconds. What about the temperature? It's going to be the hottest. Is it going to affect these radiators?
Well, it could affect the cooling systems for sure.
All right, well, let's go trackside because it's time to fire the engines for the first time in 2011.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome today's co-grand marshals, winners of the Drive for COPD Behringer Ingelheim Employee Sweepstakes, Robert Patrick Sparrow, Kim Mills, Stephen Spencer, and Ronald Paul Frawley, along with the winners of the Drive for COPD Ultimate NASCAR Weekend, Chris York and Andrew York, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
It'll be best because me and Trevor plan on that for a little while. The commitment line, and I'll hand him off to you, and you talk him into the box and back out. And then I will pick him up from there so I don't talk over you in pits.
43 cars. Beautiful paint schemes, all of them new and all of them ready to race. And of course, our in-race reporter is going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver of the number 5 Hellman Chevrolet. He's going to be starting in that 3rd position. And just flashing back to last July, that's right, in the Wrangler colors, sporting the number 3, it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning his 6th time in the Nationwide Series as the fans paid tribute to his late father. Can he make it number 7 today? We'll talk to him when we come back. See if there's another emotional day for the Earnhardt family here at Daytona. Cars just rolling out onto this 2.5-mile Daytona International Speedway under crystal clear skies and a wonderfully warm Florida day. For everybody who's been suffering through the cold, take a look at those conditions. It's going to be the warmest by the time we get deep into this race that it's been through the entire speed weeks. But as the 43 go out to take the pace laps, of course, we are getting pumped up for the 2011 campaign for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Of course, a lot of memories this week with the 10-year anniversary of the loss of Dale Earnhardt Sr. Do you realize that it was exactly 17 years ago today at this very track that Dale won his 7th and final nationwide race at Daytona International Speedway, the last one of his 21 starts. And of course, we talked about how Junior won back in July. If he does it again today, he could tie his father on the 17th anniversary of his last Daytona win. There's their starts, there's their totals, and of course, Dale Sr. leads all drivers. Let's talk to our in-race reporter. How about it, DJ?
Hey, Dale Jr., Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Simple.
Hey, man, our first question is from our mailbag, and Dustin in Harrisburg, Virginia asked, with the new Nationwide and Cup cars being so similar, what can you take from the race today that will help you in the Daytona 500?
Well, we all know really
that you need to be pushing the leader off forward to win the race, to have a shot at pulling out draft by him, and we're all seeing that's really how it's going to work. So, but you got to be in that two-car tandem leading the race at the end. So you got to race pretty hard, push hard all day long to try to stay up in that track position and give yourself that opportunity, and hopefully you stay with the same partner all day.
Hey, Junior, you kind of led to my next question is, it was going to be, let's fast forward to lap 119. You're saying you want to be in that second spot whenever you're coming to get the checkered flag?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we've been seeing mostly in the races here lately. It's easy, you know, you just pull out, the leaders are sitting duck at that point. So that's probably a good position.
All right, Junior, you have a great day today. Thanks for talking with us. And now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Chris Heroy.
Hey, Chris, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us?
Hey, Andy, how you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good, man. We're talking about some of the strategy that we might see with this new refueling system and all the grip in the track. Try to give us some insight what we are going to see when the cars hit pit road.
You're going to see a premium of getting the car full and just maintaining drafting partners under green and quick stops under yellow. So something along those lines.
Will we see a lot of tire changes, or will you kind of bypass some of those today?
I don't know. We'll just have to see how they look.
Okay, Chris. Thanks a lot for talking to us, and good luck today.
Chris just is not going to share those company secrets with us. All right. Well, good luck to everybody out there. Our onboard cameras today. You already know we've got one with Dale Jr. as our in-race reporter. How about Tony Stewart going for 4 in a row? Danica Patrick, Kyle Busch, Justin Allgaier, Clint Boyer is going to start from the pole. Carl Edwards and Stephen Wallace all have onboard cameras here in the opening race of 2011. Now, the 22 of Brad Keselowski had to change helmets. He was back on pit road, and you could see the helmet exchange, and this is the preparation that Penske has. I mean, they didn't bring one helmet, they had 2. So they are going to be able to get that fixed and get him back out onto the track, but he is still sitting on pit road as of right now. Let's talk about the calendar for the rest of the weekend. Sports Center following the race, 4 Eastern on ESPN2, and our NASCAR Now tomorrow at 9 a.m. on ESPN2 and 10 Eastern over on ESPN. Then next Saturday, 5 Eastern on ESPN2, we'll be coming to you from Phoenix, and the quarter milers get going at the NHRA Winter Nationals, qualifying 11 Eastern on ESPN2 Saturday, the final Sunday at 7 Eastern, also on ESPN2. Back here at Daytona on the final pace lap, across the top of the screen is the starting field. Brett Rowe, Jennifer Jo Cobb did not qualify for the race. Let's get the latest on that 22 situation. Vince, what's going on?
Got to have communication here at Daytona. Spotters team driver, that was the issue with Brad Keselowski's helmet. It was a wiring problem. They weren't able to communicate with him. He just mentioned a moment ago that the sound was way too loud in his headset. He was concerned about that, and they're also concerned whether or not they got the window net locked appropriately. So keep an eye on the 22 here in the early stages. Dave Burns?
Vince, if youth is served here today, it could be by the red number 1 of Landon Castle, whom we spoke to earlier. Only one start here in a truck race, only made 1 lap. But the 31 car of Justin Allgaier, also very quick, and some off-season testing taught him how to do this drafting thing. Jamie Little.
And because Danica Patrick has just 13 races under her belt, she's relying heavily on her team. This was her on the radio just moments ago.
All right, good luck everybody today, and I'll do everything I can to get all I can get out there. And Chip, Tony Jr., you guys just tell me what to do. You know, you're the ones with the experience, so just tell me what to do out there, and I'll do it. You know, just help keep me aware of what's going on, and we'll be good.
So the comments of Danica Patrick as the pace car comes down out of turn number 4, and it looks like we are getting ready to start the 2011 season. I hope you're ready, because I know we are. The pace car pulls down below the line. Coming to the start, it's led by Clint Boyer, Landon Castle, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Danica Patrick. And the green flag flies, and the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series season is green. Coming out of turn number 2, you can already see a couple of the cars getting in that two-car tandem hookup, namely the 2 Sprint Cup veterans, Boyer and Dale Jr.
Yeah, I'm real interested to see just how this is going to work. If it's going to work like we did with the Cup cars, you see Landon Castle now losing a little bit of touch of the leaders. Are these 2 cars going to be able to break away like we've seen?
And automatically, you see Landon jump in front of Danica.
Yeah, she's going to have to get up on that rear bumper and really give him a push. The draft is affected differently now with these new cars and this new pavement.
Clint Boyer's going to lead lap number 1 officially with Earnhardt, Allgaier, Logano, Kyle Busch. That is your top 5.
You see Justin Allgaier kind of stuck there by himself. He tucks it in line.
3 wide back in the middle of this field. We saw it last night in the Truck Series. Coming down the back straightaway again, and now we have 2 of those 2-car hookups. Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, the teammates, pushing on the high side.
He got 4 veterans up front that have done this for a week now, so they've learned how to do it pretty well.
See Ricky Stenhouse there in the 6 car, stuck in the middle with no drafting partner right now, is getting help.
Change for the lead. Here we go as Joey Logano gets the push from Kyle. They'll take the lead on lap number 2.
When this 2-car drafting is done right now, as you see, they're going to switch as they got to the lead because that second car's running a little bit on the warm side. But when it's done right, it looks like they're 5, almost 10 miles an hour faster.
Yeah, look at this. Like this right here. You see Clint Boyer getting a big push from Junior.
Junior's got to get a little air on his radiator. We talked about the temperatures being warmer.
Look at Stewart.
Tony Stewart shoots up through the middle. He is getting the push now.
You know, the Cup teams have done a lot of research on how to keep these cars cool so they don't have to switch as often. You don't see that kind of technology in these cars, so they may have to do that switching a lot more frequently than we've been seeing.
2 drivers back here in this series. You see Sam Hornish there in the 3rd spot, Elliott Sadler in the 5th spot in that white car, looking to make their mark back here in this series.
Lap number 3, and we've had 3 different leaders. It's a 120-lap race. This could be a lot of fun today.
Like musical chairs, and Elliott Sadler was left without a seat.
It's Stewart now, Marola. Sam Hornish Jr. is hooked up with Joe Nemechek. They're running 3rd and 4th. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, then Sadler. He is behind Casey Kane. Dale Jr. trying to lock up again with the 33 of Boyer. That's Justin Allgaier to the left in the 31.
Yeah, they just took that split second. These 2 cars were out front just a minute ago, but Junior had to get a little bit of fresh air to his radiator. When they did that, they lost about 10 spots.
Boy, that was oh so close. Jason Leffler, you saw him wiggle there. Here we go again with another lead change. 4 laps, 4 different leaders. Kyle Busch, now the man up front.
They see Casey Kane now working the outside.
Tony Stewart down low. They're going to make it 3 wide again. You're on board with Tony. Joe Nemechek right alongside.
See, Casey Kane has his teammate. Jason Leffler's tucked right up behind him. Here comes Junior.
Joe Nemechek there in the middle with no help whatsoever. Tony Stewart doesn't have much. He's looking for Clint Boyer to get on his bumper.
You saw the 12 of Sam Hornish. He lost his dance partner as well. Change for the lead up front. They got to make the switch again. Logano goes in front.
That was textbook right there, how they made that switch without losing a lot of time.
Yeah, but look what happens. Here comes the freight train on the outside. Casey Kane, can he get to the stripe? He will not get to the lead. Joey Logano will lead this lap. 4 lead changes in 4 laps. You see Dale Jr. now. He has worked his way back up into that 3rd position.
Well, you see
coming up the middle. Here we go.
Against the wall.
Tony Stewart. He and Clint Boyer have hooked up, and look out. The 51 forces Stewart to check up. That was Jeremy Clements that was right in front of him there, and here we are again, 3 and 4 wide.
Danica doing a great job staying up in this lead group. See her right behind Jeremy Clements.
On the high side, you see the 3 cars there. That's Casey Kane right in that mix, along with Landon Castle, and then the 22 of Brad Keselowski. Still up front, it's Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Stewart, and Boyer. That's your top 4, and that's the first lap where we haven't had a lead change.
Yeah, I was going to say, first time somebody's led 2 laps in a row.
Sorry to disappoint you. Well, we were wondering how long they could do these 2-car tandems, and we're finding out they're starting early. Now you can see the 6 car. That is Ricky Stenhouse. He's trying to get help from Trevor Bain.
Yeah, and Reed Sorensen back in that back. He had to start at the back of the pack and is already working his way up towards the front.
Yeah, they had unapproved adjustments, something to do with the radiator hose connection that they needed to change, and so he started at the back of the pack and is working his way back. Here comes another rush towards the stripe. It is still Joey Logano with Kyle Busch right behind him, but Tony Stewart has closed.
Yeah, you see how Kyle Busch is offsetting his nose just a little bit? Here comes Tony Stewart now making a move.
They're going to go down to the inside now, and all of a sudden here comes the change for the 18.
Yeah,
and they're going to get blown by.
Yeah, that change is going to cost them. Clint Bowyer's last stone to Tony Stewart right there.
Wow. Can they keep this up for 120 laps?
Yeah, you see Clint Bowyer doing that offset move. It's not quite as fast as if they were tucked in just in line, but they can keep that radiator cool and stay that way for just a little bit longer.
And yeah, I think what we're seeing here is just what you pointed out before this race, the experience factor here. These drivers have done more of this throughout the week, and they know exactly how to make this work.
You want to know the speeds we're flying, folks? 196 miles an hour so far, the top speed.
That's after they've reduced restrictor plates, tapered spacers 3 or 4 times this week, trying to control these high speeds.
Look at this now, a 4-car hookup.
Be careful.
The guys in the middle have got to be wondering, what do I do now?
Yeah, this really hasn't worked that well, and the drivers tell me they can't see very well, and the cars get extremely loose in that situation in the middle.
Let me update 2 cars already off. Kelly Byers, Kevin LePage have taken it behind the wall. Our first 2 starting parks. That 4-car has now gone back to 2.
Yeah, and you can see what happened there as Kyle Busch got up there. He lost his partner, Joey Logano, for just a split second, and then Kyle wasn't able to hang on either. Now they're hooked back together. They'll run these 2 back down.
Now they have got about a second lead over the groups that are behind them.
I think Clint Bowyer has been tucked behind Tony Stewart the whole race. I don't think he's actually had any real clean air on the nose yet.
Here they go again as you're on board with Clint Bowyer. Tony Stewart leading that last lap. Bowyer second, but for how long?
Boy, look how tricky that is to try to stay right on the bumper, right through the corner, inches from the wall.
Do not try this in rush hour traffic on the freeway.
Yeah, I was talking to a number of the drivers, and I was asking, which is the harder place to be? The driver behind and trying to stay right on the bumper, or the driver in front? They said that the driver in front has a lot more to do. He has to really make sure that he keeps that car attached to his rear bumper, so he's working extremely hard.
Okay, Clint Bowyer gets his turn up front.
Here comes Bowyer now, our pole sitter, as they make the swap. And look at what happened with both those teams, those 2 tandems, making the switch. It allowed everybody to close up. Brad Keselowski's now into the mix. He's got his old teammate, Justin Allgaier, helping him. And look on the high side. Whoa, 27, a little bit of smoke. He's being black flagged by NASCAR officials, we're being told. So, unfortunately for J.R. Fitzpatrick, looks like he may have some engine problems.
Yeah, not sure if it's an oil leak or oil line loose or the engine actually blowing up, but he's going to have to bring her to pit road.
They see those guys that were a second behind just a couple of laps ago now starting to catch back up.
I'm going to get back to these guys here. We're just going to push them. I'm not going to try to pass them.
Fine. Tell me. Your car already pushing me out a little bit?
Yeah, simple.
That's the 2 drivers communicating with each other while they're racing. That's kind of different, Dale.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, you've heard spotters on your radio a lot, but talking to other drivers and telling exactly what you're going to do here is something pretty new. Drivers have communicated, but not nearly as much as what we're hearing this week.
Look at this side-by-side action. 4 cars going down the backstretch. Who's going to have the lead going into 3? It looks like it's the Toyotas. Let's get an update on Tony Stewart. Vince.
Well, guys, you talk about the fact that the drivers are talking to one another, and, of course, Clint Bowyer and Tony Stewart doing that, but also the spotters are communicating with multiple teams as well, listening to channels of multiple radios. Just a moment ago, Bob Jeffrey told Tony Stewart, I'm listening to the 18 as they're coming up behind you. So they are definitely multitasking on the track and up top with the spotter stand today.
Kyle pulls out and around. They're going to make the swap again. Logano falls back in behind. That's going to allow that lead group to pull away.
Yeah, and you see the Fords working together there. Stenhouse and Trevor Bain. You see Junior trying to tag along with them. He doesn't really have a 2x2 partner with him just yet.
I tell you, Trevor Bain has really caught on to this drafting technique. He got a lot of experience the other day in the 150-mile qualifying race with Jeff Gordon. He does a terrific job being the pusher.
Great group of cars all within earshot of each other. There's the two Fords from Roush Fenway. Do you realize Roush Fenway Racing has never won a nationwide race here at Daytona? They used to own this place back in the days of GTO racing in the Rolex 24. Maybe today will be their day. Here we go again. That's Boyer down low, getting the push from Tony Stewart. Up high, it's the two Toyotas of Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle Busch in front of Joey.
Well, you're right, Dale. Trevor Bayne doing a great job pushing Ricky Stenhouse right here. They've pushed him almost up to the front pack right here so he can try to take the lead. Looks like they're going to get there.
Heading down into turn number 3. The low line is going to nose out in front. And you're right, here come the two Fords. They are creeping up on the high side right behind Joey Logano. 6 cars now. Throw a blanket over them. They come to the stripe to complete lap number 14.
One thing I see here, Dale, looks like it's harder to block these moves when you have 2 cars running together. It has to be a coordinated block.
That's the problem. As I talk to these drivers, is they're having a hard time with the second driver not being able to see all that and to try to keep him attached. You're not able to do the side drafting and make these blocks nearly as easy. So they said now that may change when it gets down to time to win the race. They might try a little bit more, but it is more difficult, Andy, just you said.
Well, and Dale Jr. without a dance partner, he has lost ground to this lead group. There you see Logano and Kyle Busch making the swap again. That allows the Roush Fenway Fords to move ahead into that 3rd and 4th spot. Tell you what, this is only 15 laps at 120. We've had 6 lead changes, 4 different leaders. Our race presented by GoDaddy.com. Back here under our first caution at Daytona International Speedway in the season opener in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Sam Hornish, one of multiple cars involved. Brian Scott got the worst of it as well. And they got together on the front straightaway. There's the damage on the 11th.
Yeah, we saw the 12 car Hornish in the grass. Don't know how he got there. And then a lot of other cars kind of got tangled up. Landon Castle was one of them. I'm not sure that Landon got any damage from it, but he did spin through the grass.
Let's go back and take another look, guys.
Yeah, let's see what happens. They come off here. Sam Hornish right in the middle. Oh,
it looks like
Brian Scott gets turned. May have got a little too much of a bump.
Looks like it might have been Allgaier gave him a little shove.
And then here's the second contact.
Yeah, Brian Scott just tags Hornish.
You see, now we talked about that these cars, the front and rear bumpers don't line up quite as well. You have to be careful with this bump drafting that a little bit too much of that, you'll get the nose up under and really lift the rear wheels off the ground. That's exactly what happened to Brian Scott.
All right, let's go back and just listen. Like the 31 did get into him just a little bit.
Yeah, and it wasn't much, but as you move across that rear bumper, it just, since these cars, makes it very difficult to keep up with the steering of it.
Well, you see, Hornish looked like he was just flying up through the middle there, coming by those guys, and with that contact, getting into the trial was very tricky anyway.
Sam right now under a very limited schedule for this number 12 car this year. They're still trying to look for more money as he's trying, like several other drivers, to rejuvenate his career. And it looks like everybody is going to be coming down pit road. We're going to find our first experience with the refueling. So let's send it quickly to Dr. Jerry Punch.
And today will be sort of a test run for a lot of these crews that are going to be working tomorrow. In fact, down in the 38 pits for Casey Kane, the crew may have uniforms on that says Great Clips, but this is the crew of Jimmy Johnson, the 5-time Sprint Cup champion. Brandon Harger going across. He's the gas man. They're going to top it off with gas only, no tires. Vince.
Tony Stewart's Cup crew is pitting this car today in the nationwide race. They're going to take on right side tires, a can of fuel, and then a little bit more from the second can. Jamie.
Clint Boyer took right sides only, fueled him as well. He has the Cup team pitting him as well, but it was a clean stop for Clint Boyer down and away as they continue to come off pit road. Marty?
And there you see our race off pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr. picks up 9 positions, taking no tires, just fuel. Boyer loses a spot. I bet you Dale will have a dance partner now, as he is at the front of the field. All right, well, we're under our first caution. It has been anything but dull, and unfortunately for a couple of guys, their day is a little short. It has been anything but dull here in the first 18 laps of the scheduled 120 in the season opener of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We've seen the two-car tandem, and we've had our first incident that has sent a couple of guys behind the wall to repair a lot of damage. Sam Hornish, Landon Castle involved in that, and the heaviest damage to Brian Scott. Now, we've got to tell you about, there were several incidents on pit road, and one of them had to do with Dale Earnhardt Jr. We thought he just took fuel. He missed his pit box. He thought he was looking for the 88 board, and he forgot it was the number 5. Let's listen to the radio.
4, 3, 2, 1. Coming, just keep going. Keep going. And 4. It's all good. I thought I was going to see the 88 sign. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's Dale acknowledging he was looking for the 88 sign, which is his Sprint Cup number, obviously. Now, here's what happened to the 4 car.
He gets tires and also gets fuel, but he gets blocked in by the car in front of him. Kind of chokes the car, taking off. Won't take him long to get back to the front.
And while we've got the opportunity, let's give you the Goodyear track facts here at Daytona. We mentioned the fact we're going 300 miles today, pit road speed. Nobody that we know of was caught for speeding. And really, the one thing that has stood out for you,
yeah, new pavement. That's what we should have here. New pavement. That's what's creating all of these situations. I mean, a combination of this car and the new pavement has opened up these two-car drafts. So it's made it exciting so far.
Well, yesterday you and Rusty were out there driving, and you said how hard it was to see on pit road. Could that have also played into this?
Yeah, it could have, because it is hard to see those white lines on that white concrete. So it's making it more difficult with that. And but you really have to pay attention and know where all of that is. And I'm not sure that maybe the inexperience of the crew chief didn't play a little in there, Andy.
Yeah, that driver needs some help, especially when he's driving something different. I mean, you need to say, hey, here we are, don't pass us. He was giving him the 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown to the pit stop, but he should have been getting just a little bit more help.
Hey, Rusty, I think you were the one that brought it to my attention yesterday as we were sitting out there getting ready to go, just how hard it was to see the lines on that concrete.
Yeah, no doubt it. We were sitting out in our cars yesterday, DJ, and they got that real black, brand new pit road with those white lines on it. You can see the white lines on top of the black asphalt, but those white lines on top of that white concrete, man, that is very, very hard to pick out your pit stall. They probably need to paint those things yellow next time or something like that, but a big problem for the drivers, in my opinion.
They did widen this pit road, too, and I can tell you that was one glaring thing that I saw was how much wider it is, so we shouldn't see nearly as much contact on pit roads as we've seen here in the past.
Well, let's listen in on the 5 car, see what Dale Earnhardt's talking about now.
Yeah, I didn't look at it on the base lap, so I didn't know what it looked like, so my bad. That's pretty stupid. For the future, we should just have the 88 out there. That's what I'm used to looking at.
Got to be careful with that, though, because Eric Almirola might stop in the wrong pit.
Well, we'll wait and see, but it's going to force Dale Earnhardt Jr. to start back in the 33rd position because he did come back down pit road, did take tires, did get a full load of fuel. Sam Hornish Jr. is back behind the wall, 1 lap down. Also, Brian Scott is off the track. J.R. Fitzpatrick with his engine issues. Kevin LePage is back out. He's 11 laps down. Kelly Byers is off as well. It's Boyer, Logano, Stenhouse, Bain, and Kane. That's your top 5. And Boyer has taken the inside line, and we're back to green here at Daytona. Take a look. You got new dance partners out there. Danica Patrick also getting her car going well, but you've got up front Logano with Trevor Bain.
Dale, I was in there laughing, and I know what you're laughing about, Dale. You're talking about Keselowski pushing Kyle Busch.
Yeah, 2 unlikely suspect drafting partners there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's amazing.
You got Danica Patrick now just moved in front of Boyer. Maybe he can get up there and push her to the front.
You mentioned Kyle Busch. He won the helped Joe Gibbs Racing win the Owners Championship. Brad Keselowski won the Drivers Championship. They've had a few go-arounds themselves on the racetrack. We should point out, let me correct one thing, Sam is not behind the wall. They're actually still working on pit road on that 12 car. We just wanted to clear that up. Now back down the straightaway, and on the outside, here comes the push between those two unlikely dance partners.
Well, what's happening when you try to get these cars lashed up, the front driver has to actually drag the brake just a little bit to get them hooked. Once they get hooked, they can go wide open, but it does take coordination from the lead car to let that other car come up and latch on, and we're seeing that now with just behind this group. Danica Patrick is not quite able to latch up with Boyer, but she's got a responsibility in that to make that work.
Dave, you got an update down there on the 18?
Well, one thing to keep in mind with Kyle is that his car is better out front. Who wouldn't like it out front? He can win that way. But the Toyotas have had a little trouble cooling this weekend. So with Keselowski pushing from behind, Kyle feels great about getting that air in the front end of that car. Remember, troubles cooling could mean that the Toyotas need to stay out front. Jamie?
And just before that first round of pit stops, Danica Patrick came on the radio. She said, guys, we have a fast car. I'm good. I just need some help out here. And as you saw, she was kind of being hung out to dry. Clint Boyer in the 33, still not trustworthy of Danica, but this is a good opportunity for her to prove herself that she is able to draft, but so far it's not working.
Battle for the lead up front as they come down to complete lap number 23, side by side. Which one of the Joe Gibbs cars is going to hold on to it? It's going to be Kyle Busch.
Andy, I'll add on to what you were talking about there. It is Danica's, she has some responsibility there to get that car behind her latched onto her rear bumper. So that's something that she's going to have to learn here throughout the day.
Trouble in turn 2. Several cars around. The 62 of Michael Annett. Elliott Sadler's involved. The 09 of Kenny Wallace. Dale Jr. gets through, and look out!
Jeremy Clement gets a part of that. No, that's Mike Wallace.
That's Mike Wallace.
Right rear quarter.
So one of the...
I thought I'd slow down enough.
One of the guys that we thought would contend for the championship, and just likely will throughout the season, Elliott Sadler, here in our second caution.
Totaled, Ernie. I mean, really totaled.
Well, that is such a shame for Kenny. This is a great opportunity for him, and a shame for Elliott Sadler and that team. Kevin Harvick Incorporated.
Not the way they wanted to start this season off, I can tell you that.
Both those teams had such high hopes. Kenny said, this is the best equipment I have ever been in years. You see what's the damage on the 01 of Mike Wallace's car. That rear quarter panel is torn up.
He was just trying to kind of slow down and snake his way through there, but wasn't able to do it without making some contact then.
So Elliott will make the long walk to the ambulance and the ride to the infield care center to get checked out, but he looks A-OK. Michael Annett, he has got damage on his left rear quarter panel, although he is able to get it back. Let's take another look, see what happened.
Well, you can see right there, looks like Kenny Wallace got tagged. Actually, that was a net. Wallace comes in behind that.
And right there you saw Mike worried about the 62 coming back high, and he ends up getting into the tail end of it.
Yeah, that's Todd Bodine, who was trying to push Michael Annett there. You have to be really, really careful as you get to the corners. You know you want to stay latched on and attached. See Tony Stewart barely sneaking by there. Ricky Stenhouse looks like he's got a little bit of damage. I notice he's on pit road right now working on that car.
Elliott Sadler nowhere to go whatsoever.
We can tell you Michael Annett has made it back to pit road as well. So has the 01 of Mike Wallace.
Yeah, Mike just got that last part.
Here's the second impact.
See, Mike was going around the other car on the bottom, and he thought he could swing back low on this car, but he just couldn't do it.
From Clint Boyer's on board.
Outside, next car, spin behind you, come on. You're clear, outside, caution, nice job.
That's when you're sitting in the seat just wondering if that car is going to clip you as it comes back. You see just how close that's going to be for Clint Boyer right here. Wow.
And we've got most of the second half of the field taking advantage of this opportunity to come down pit road. Leaders stayed out all the way through the top 13 cars. Kyle Busch, we can tell you, is shown as our race leader, with Brad Keselowski second, Joey Logano third, Trevor Bayne fourth, and Todd Bodine in fifth. There you see Carl Edwards, as he has yet to find his way up towards the front of this field. Reed Sorensen still trying to battle back from where he had to start.
Well, you see a lot of people changing tires. Jeremy Clements gets going. A lot of them are changing because of all the debris on the track. A lot of them probably ran through that and want to make sure they don't have a hole.
Gives us an opportunity to step aside because we're going to be under the caution for a little bit to clean up the mess here at Daytona. Our race is presented today by GoDaddy.com.
ESPN, the home court of college hoops, continues today. First at 4 Eastern, Reggie Jackson and Boston College face a rejuvenated number 19 Tar Heels team led by Tyler Zeller.
I like how you say that.
I was just giving you an opportunity. Then at 6 Eastern, Isaiah Thomas and the Washington Huskies face a key contest against the ranked Pac-10 foe. They take on number 13 Arizona, led by Derek Williams. It's college basketball. ESPN today. Both games available online at ESPN3.com and on your phone. From the pit studio, Alan, Rusty, and Brad, 27 laps into the 120 that make up today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race, cleaning up a big mess down in turn number 2 as they tow away the cars of Elliott Sadler and some of those others damaged in the wreck. You see we're on the double up and 1 to go before the restart. Carl Edwards with problems, reporting earlier engine troubles. He's been on pit road a couple of times with the hood up under this yellow, Jamie.
Alan, yes, he said he was down a cylinder. It didn't sound right. They came in, they checked the plug wires. Then they exchanged ignition boxes. Then he pulled away and said it still sounds bad. You see him there. That's his onboard camera. Taking it back to the garage, he said, guys, I think we're blowing up. And for more on what is going on with Carl Edwards, let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jamie. The first thing they do when they come down pit road is open the hood. They're trying to identify which cylinder it is. How do you do that? You can take an infrared sensor and monitor each exhaust tube, or you can take a piece of crayon and touch on it. The one that's not working is not going to melt the crayon. But there again, these engines turn a lot of RPMs. They might be looking, if it's not a plug wire, might be a broken valve spring. It'll change the sound of the engine. Guys?
Tim, thanks for that look as we look down on Daytona International Speedway, courtesy of Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Intense, interesting so far, and coming to a restart. What will be at the completion of the 28th lap. You see on the inside lane Kyle Busch with now Brad Keselowski, 22 to the outside of him. Joey Logano and the 16 car of Trevor Bayne lined up in row number 2. This wrapping up the second caution of this race as we go up to Marty, DJ, and Andy.
Thank you, Alan. 32 cars on the lead lap, a total of 8 either off or out of this race right now. Sam Hornish Jr. got the lucky dog. He's still, though, 3 laps down. It's Kyle Busch, as Alan pointed out, on the inside. Brad Keselowski right beside him. He's got his dance partner right behind him in Joey Logano in third. So Kyle Busch comes to the stripe, and we're back to green flag racing here on lap number 29. Down the backstretch, the 4-car attack right now in third and fourth is Brad Keselowski with Trevor Bayne giving him a push. Look a little bit further back, you saw Danica Patrick. She's running in 6th with Quint Boyer.
We've seen these partnerships kind of shift around and change on these restarts. Now it looks like Boyer really is latched on good with Danica. They should be able to go to the front if they can stay like this.
Well, she's going to get a lesson, that's for sure. Here comes Tony Stewart also in that mix. That's Eric Almirola trying to hook up with him.
Yeah, but she did a much better job there in getting that 33 car on her bumper now. They've cleared that pack. Going to try to run down these leaders.
Clint Boyer's a good one for her to have back there. He's got a lot of experience on how to do this.
Still you in the 33.
Spotter telling him it's just you two right now. And they are closing. Here they come on the inside.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
And he is giving her the push right past Keselowski and Bayne.
Oh yeah, they're going to get to the lead here.
Kyle Busch still up front. The question is for how long? You can see the differential and how quickly they are closing. Will we have our 6th different leader this time by? It's going to be close, but it looks like Kyle may.
No,
Danica Patrick is going to lead.
Keep it in the middle right here.
Remember, she led 4 laps back at Homestead, so now she's led 2 races in a row. The question is, what kind of finish is she going to get today here at Daytona?
You know, we're talking about would people draft with these younger, inexperienced drivers. If you've got a car like Danica's got today, they'll run with you, I promise.
You see the stack there? First woman to lead a lap here at Daytona in the NASCAR sanctioned event. But here come on the bottom side, Brad Keselowski and Trevor Bayne saying, yo, we'd like that position back, please. Here we go with another lead change at the stripe. Brad Keselowski, it'll be our 12th lead change in 31 laps. Those 4 still side by side, and they have opened up ground over Logano and Kyle Busch. About a full second. There you see the gap back to them.
Running laps of 46 seconds around here. They are flying.
If you want to know what the track record for lead changes is, 35, set back in 1986. We've had 12 already in 31.
I'll say we ought to have that done by about lap 60.
This is great stuff. These two, and she is getting an education rapidly here.
Yeah, they're averaging 194, 195 miles an hour on these laps. That's 15 miles an hour faster than they qualify.
Yeah, and the good thing here is if these Kevin Harvick cars are able to stay tucked in, Clint Bowyer's getting just enough air to it that he can stay behind Danica and keep pushing where they don't have to make this switch.
There's Bowyer trying to get more air on his front. He's got to make the switch here soon. They've been going several laps. Here it comes.
Okay, the key's going to be, can she get in there and get latched on to Clint?
They got the perfect situation when they have this 4-car group actually in front of them, busting a little bit of that air while they make the swap.
But they're losing a lot of ground.
A lot of time.
Yeah, they got to get this done a little quicker. And she's got to help. She's got to slack off just a little bit and get behind him.
In fact, they
he
never...
wants me to get behind him and push. I can try that, and you just tell me what I need to do with him, because I don't know. I'm just keeping it flat.
So she's trying to find out, does he want her to push? And
let us get to you here.
Yeah, Clint can't just sit back there and run, a lot of laps. He's got to get air to the front of that car.
Yeah, they lost about 2 seconds to those lead cars just on that lap in trying to make that switch.
Yeah, and you can see even the Joe Gibbs cars with Logano and Busch, they're losing a lot of time when they're making that switch too, but they get latched on pretty quickly and gain it back.
And now the tandem of Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch have opened up some space over 3rd and 4th place.
I'll tell you what, guys, today and tomorrow, if I'm looking for a partner, I want Trevor Bayne on my bumper. This young man knows how to get it done. He's doing a terrific job. I think it's going to pay big dividends, maybe for him getting himself in a position to pull out and win either today or tomorrow.
We're still under green and getting word. Yes, the 66 of Stephen Wallace is making his way to pit road. This is unscheduled. He's the first pit box in.
May have a tire down.
It really looked like that right front was down on the ground possibly.
Our over-the-wall man, Mark Hollywood Armstrong, giving us the bird's eye view there as he's the front tire changer for that team. Meanwhile, on the left side of your screen, you can see the
They're all clear.
4 cars that are running 1st through 4th. No change up there.
Speed 4,400 to the cone.
So Steven's going to get back out, but he is going to go a lap down.
Here come the Gibbs cars on the outside again.
On the high side, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano. They are going to push their way back to the lead through turns 1 and 2. Keselowski and Trevor Bayne doing all they can to hold them off. Side by side down the backstretch, inching ahead, the Joe Gibbs duo.
You can see where that experience is really paying off at the front. These cars have distanced themselves quite a bit from the pack. And we saw Danica was able to run all the way to the lead, but you got to coordinate those switches to be able to stay up there.
Yeah, and she lost her partner with Clint Bowyer, and she's dropped back to the 9th position. Boyer's dropped all the way back to 18th.
The next car in line behind Danica now is Dale Jr. Maybe they can hook up and get back to the front.
Now look at this mix-up here as all of a sudden both of them were trying to make the change at the same time. Got a little dicey, but they sorted it out. Trevor Bayne in front of Keselowski, and here comes Joey.
They got to be having a ton of fun out there, Dale.
Oh, these guys say it's fun and trying to coordinate and make all of this happen. But they do tell me it is a lot of work to really coordinate that and keep it working in the proper way.
Dale Jr. passing his teammate, Danica Patrick. Will they try and hook up?
Well, we heard Dale Jr. say in the pre-race show that it's all about number one. He's the one to go to the front.
They're 7th and 8th, and well, now 7th and 9th, and Jr. has got Joe Nemechek coming up behind him. Looks like they're going to hook up. Slower traffic. That's the 14, Eric McClure, as he has put a lap down by the race leaders. And these 4 cars still going after each other, lap after lap. We've had 15 lead changes now in 37 laps.
That's at start-finish line.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that we're not seeing that we've seen a lot down here in the past is the side drafting, and they're just not able to do that as they run in these tandems as much because it's harder for that second guy to see exactly what they need to do, and it can create problems for them. So they're just utilizing the sheer speed that they have by staying locked onto each other.
The 40 of Scott Wimmer was the slow car on the low side of the track. If you get stranded out by yourself, you are in deep trouble. While we continue to watch all this action, Dr. Jerry Punch is caught up with a disappointed Elliott Sadler.
Elliott out of the medical center. Okay, Elliott, from your vantage point, what happened out there?
I'm not real sure. I was, we were trying to tandem and make our way to the front. And I just found my teammate, Clint Boyer, and was going to get in line with him. And I looked up, and the 62 was sideways. So not sure. And with the smoke and not sure how far I could move up, I was kind of hoping he was going to slap the racetrack, and he didn't. And we just tore up a good race car, and it's a shame. We wanted to try to make it to the end, and we tried to put ourselves in a good situation and race around the people we wanted to race with, and it just wasn't meant to be. But got a lot of people here with KHI today, a lot of people here from One Main Financial. We're going to go try to fix the car because 1 point is very important these days, so we're going to try to get back out there.
Not a way that he wants to start a championship chase. Marty?
Absolutely, Doc. As you see Trevor Bayne and Brad Keselowski, they've opened up about a second lead over the Joe Gibbs pair. And we are now, after 39 of 120 laps, here at our race presented by GoDaddy.com. Welcome back to the Drive for COPD 300 at Daytona. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. That shot you saw, there they are, the top 4 runners. It's Keselowski, Bayne, followed by Busch and Logano. A little bit further back, in fact, about 11 more seconds back, is Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer. They have hooked up, and they are coming. But this is the biggest margin that a breakaway group, if we can call it that, the first 4 have given themselves. And you notice at the bottom of the bottom of your screen there is the 60 of Carl Edwards. He has just come back out on track. He is 12 laps down. Dave, what's the story?
Marty, they changed everything electrical on that 60 car. Talked to the tuner, Troy Couples, and he told me they took it all out, put it back in. When it left, though, it didn't sound that great, and a lot of people were still shaking their heads in that Roush Fenway camp.
Well, you saw him get passed by the quartet that is the front runners of this field. And you can see his last lap compared to the leaders. Brad Keselowski now in front of Trevor Bayne. We've had 16 lead changes, and a lot further back is a swarm that's, they're 12 seconds behind the group on the right. And one of those guys that's been coming, in fact, 2 of them, have been Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer. There they are. Let's get an update on the 4 car. Vince Welch.
Well, Tony Stewart's had one of those up and down days. He was running up front, led the race early on. Then they came for that initial pit stop, and he stalled the car in the pit, so he lost several positions and has had to come from deep in the field again. But once Clint Boyer hooked up with him, the 2 have really been on the move, making their way back toward the front. Stewart also had a close call earlier, made a little contact with the car trying to draft. Thought maybe he might have punched a hole in the front end, but the team says that all looks good at this point. He and Clint, a couple of KHI cars hooked together.
Still 12 seconds behind the quartet that is out front. Maybe we should change this. Maybe this should be like the pair skating championships where it would be Keselowski, Bayne in first, and then you've got Logano and Busch in third. Because there's no breathing room between the bumpers on these cars. And on the left side, you can see that Stewart and Boyer have pulled away from the rest of that group. They've pulled 3 seconds ahead of Sorensen, Earnhardt, Leffler, Nemechek, Clements, Howard, and Patrick.
Yeah, it looks like Stewart and Boyer are able to run comparable lap times to these front four, but they've lost so much ground already.
Let you know that while this goes on, the 31 has come into pit road. There it is, Justin Allgaier in the brand new Brandt colors. He's got damage on the right side as well from earlier. Here we go.
Oop, there goes the right front.
And even more damage.
We got no wall, guys. You okay?
Meanwhile, up front, it is Keselowski in front of Trevor Bayne. And then you saw the tandem of Kyle Busch and Joey Logano making the swap once again. We are now, after working lap 48 of 120, on our race presented by GoDaddy.com, and the racing's been that close.
Start only at NASCAR.com.
Tomorrow, ESPN and the Year of the Quarterback chronicles the incredible career of Conrad Holloway, the first African-American to ever start a quarterback in the SEC. ESPN's Year of the Quarterback presents The Color Orange, Conrad Holloway's story, a film by Kenny Chesney and Sean Silvitz, tomorrow night, 8 on ESPN. While all this action continues, Brad Keselowski, Trevor Bayne, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, they have fallen 2 seconds behind that lead group. Let's listen to Kyle's radio.
Hey, Joe, when we switch, drag the brake a little bit just to start your slowdown, you know? Because these cars, when you pull out, you just run into a brick of air. These cars help quicker. Yeah, like if you slow down just a little bit faster, then we can get aligned quicker. Like when you pull off of me, I use a little bit of brake to slow down to get you in front of me faster, and then you use the brake and come back to me. Going low.
That is a lesson in two-car tandem drafting, courtesy of Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. The only problem is Joey can't push Kyle as long as Kyle can push Joey, because Joey gets more temperature. And then when he's in front and Kyle pushes him, Joey says, I get a little too free entering the corner. But they're trying to perfect working together and making the change even quicker.
All right, thank you, Doc. It's Bayne and Keselowski 1.3 seconds ahead of Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. Then another 13 seconds back to Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart. Then it drops even further back, 23 seconds behind the lead. Dale Earnhardt in 7th with Joe Nemechek, his dance partner. Then Waltrip and Clements round out the top 10.
Watching some lap times here, though, it does look like Boyer and Stewart are able to pick up a little bit on the leaders. Running just a little bit quicker lap times on average the last few laps.
Well, we've completed 53 laps and had 8 different leaders with 17 lead changes. And I guess my question for you guys is, we saw everybody able to stay close early, and now as this run is it the tire? Is the tire finally going away?
No, it's this experience level of these drivers that are doing this. These two groups are doing it way better than any other two tandems in this group, in this field, except for maybe now Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer. And I think that's what we talked about earlier, is that experience level really paying off for the Cup guys.
Yes, not only paying off there, but, you know, as you go by, you talked about this group that Dale Jr. and that group, they've got 6 or 7 cars in their line, but they're doing the old drafting style where they're not tucked up right on each other's bumper, so it's making it more difficult, and they can't run nearly as fast.
You said we're going to switch before we hit. How are we doing now? Because of where we're at on the pit road, we're going to catch about 5 more lap cars, and when we pass them, we're going to switch, and then we'll do our pit deal because you're ahead of him on pit road.
See, now that's somebody thinking ahead.
Oh, yeah, they got to be planning all of these moves. They're planning every move on the track, and as they pit.
And next time by, Trevor is asking where to brake at, so be aware he may be a little cautiously optimistic here.
That's what I was going to say. As they start to make that pit stop, they've got to be careful getting on those brakes not to wreck each other.
Going around the 40 once again. As Scott Wimmer's had a very long day.
This could separate some of the cars. We got a spinner.
Sam Hornish going around again. That's right into pit in. And he's going to bang the wall with the left front. So Hornish, who was running 33rd at the time, 3 laps down, brings out our 3rd caution of the day, and there's the damage.
Don't know how close these guys were on fuel, but they'll have to be really careful right here as we go lap.
We just heard that the lead group is getting ready to make a pit stop right then on that lap, so they'll have to make at least another lap under caution before they come down pit road.
Let's go back and take another look, see what happened to Sam. The first crash wasn't his fault. See what happened this time.
Well, looks like Todd Bodine got another one there.
At this point, it looked like he might be able to save it until right
there.
Yeah. Give you another angle.
It's like Todd hadn't quite perfected that push move yet.
As we talk, these bumpers don't exactly line up, and you can actually get your nose underneath the rear bumper and lift the rear wheels off the ground.
That ended a 28-lap green stretch. That had been the longest stretch of green flag racing that we had seen.
It's an opportunity now for these other cars to close up, and hopefully they've all perfected their little tandem drafting technique, and they can keep up with these leaders.
So, as several drivers have experienced, Sam Hornish having a tough day today. And not much of it really his making.
No, that one was not his fault at all. That definitely got a push from behind.
See the guys on pit road stretching, limbering up. And I think we'll see some tire changing here.
Yeah, I think we will too, Marty, because even though they probably could run tire wear wise and probably handling wise on the set they have, it makes sense now under caution to go ahead and get some tires on the car.
2 or 4. Do you want track
Probably
position?
at this point I'd make the call for 4 tires as a crew chief, because you're going to have to get a full tank of fuel. This is a good opportunity to go ahead and swap them out.
We'll wait to see how it all changes here on pit road. As again, remember the closed end fueling system. We'll see how well that works. Let's send it down to Dr. Jerry Bunch.
Thank you very much, Marty. They're expecting 4 tires for Joey Logano. First time they'll have 4 tires all day long, maybe then 2 the next time, maybe none on the final stop. Also a chassis adjustment for Joey Logano. Triple pits. Let's start with Dave.
Kyle Busch's team listened to Andy Petrie. They'll change 4 tires now. They will have options later, according to the crew chief. Vince.
Brad Keselowski, last year's series champ, 2 tires and gas, says it's a lot harder than it looks out there. He's working hard. Jamie?
Birthday boy Trevor Bayne turns 20 today. They said, how you enjoying it? He said, I love it out here leading. He led 10 laps. Left side tires is the call. They said it's going to take longer to fill these cars. Just remember, wait for the jack. He filled it up with Sunoco fuel. He's down and away. Keselowski is first out of the box. Marty?
The race off pit road. Keselowski picks up 1. Junior picks up 5. He was in the right pit box this time. Trevor lost 4. Getting ready to go green. 2 quick updates. The 5 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. They had equipment. The fuel can got stuck. Just what we were talking about. It fell outside the box. He'll start back in 20th. And the 22 didn't get enough fuel in. Had to come all the way back around, make a second stop, mix up on communication for Brad Keselowski. He's going to restart in 7th. Up front, it's Logano, Busch, Bayne, Boyer, and Nemechek. And we're green again.
Yeah, and we're going to have a penalty on somebody, because the 7, the 70, and the 38 were 3 wide at the start of this race. They didn't get in line, so I don't know whose fault it is. NASCAR will sort that out.
It looked like they were arguing over starting position there, because they were that way all the way around off turn 4.
On board with Clint Boyer.
Now you see the Gibbs cars have kind of got split up here.
Wide into 3. A couple of those cars don't have any partners. And up front, here we go again, as you see 4 cars trying to pull away from the pack. Just got a little change in who's playing in that mix, as Clint Boyer is the man who is pushing Kyle Busch. Trevor Bayne is the guy right behind Joey Logano. Left side of your screen, you can see Tony Stewart trying to work his way up. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to get shuffled.
Yeah, he's got nobody pushing him whatsoever. You can see just how big a difference that makes.
Whoa, 4 wide at some points in the back of this pack. Look out, guys and gals. It's Danica Patrick on the lower right of your screen. She's looking for another dance partner. And 2 cars behind her is her team owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., trying to come back from that penalty.
There's Joe Nemechek on her bumper. Needs to get up and give her a little bit more of a push.
See Landon Castle back out there. He is trying to hook up as well. DJ, you were asking about if anybody was going to get hammered with a penalty for passing too soon on the restart. The 38 of Casey Kane.
See these front four continue to run side by side. They haven't been able to get away. Nobody's been able to get an advantage here.
All this is going on. We'll let you know the 40 of Scott Wimmer has taken it behind the wall.
They're going to have some company here in just a second, though.
It's like Stewart's pushing Leffler.
Yeah, Jason Leffler and Tony Stewart coming in a hurry.
Great view from high above.
See, they're right there. What you're talking about, they were trying to get that side draft, but it's so hard to coordinate with 4 cars.
Did you notice Tony backed off? I don't know. Maybe.
I think he saw a little bit of action getting ready to happen.
They were closing too fast.
Tony knows you got to get to the finish to win this thing.
And was that only because they were in the corner and you're looking out the left window, really? Because you really can't see when you're straight behind that car.
No, and any sign that you see of just a little bit of smoke or just anything that gives you that inclination that something may be taking place, you have to back out right then, because that's what the drivers are telling me. It's just almost impossible to see anything as you're latched on.
Well, the lead pack right now is 6 cars. Tony has hooked up again with Leffler, and they're trying to fight their way through those groups that are in front of them. Further back, a total of 4 seconds, where we find Clemens, Sorensen, Patrick, Bliss, and Almirola.
See Leffler flirting with that wall. He's way up on the outside.
There you can see the gap, and here's what's happening behind the top 6. There's Stephen Wallace. He's trying to get help from Landon Castle. On board with Dale Jr., and Jr.'s getting shuffled. He's going to go to the outside. And that's Keselowski right beside him. Casey Kane is getting a black flag, and he has not served his penalty. Now he is coming in.
They were going to put the black flag with the white cross on him that time.
Now let's watch this again, DJ.
Yeah, and so they were lined up this way. As Andy pointed out, this was back in turn 3. They just were having an argument over who was going to start where. Didn't get that settled, and you can't do that.
Let's go back to the battle for the race lead. Joey Logano has it with Trevor Bayne pushing. There is Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer, 3rd and 4th, but maybe not for long. Here they come on the top side. We've passed halfway of this 120-lap, 300-mile race. We've had 18 lead changes, 8 different leaders.
See, behind this group, Danica Patrick is now kind of broken away from it at the head of it. She needs somebody to draft with.
Tony Stewart still trying to find an opening.
He's going to make one here in a second.
Now there is what you were talking about, Andy, and it looks like Reed Sorensen may be the one to say, okay, let's give this a try.
Yeah, she actually broke free of this group by 7 or 8 car lengths. And being by herself, obviously, she couldn't maintain that pace.
Yeah, and right now she needs to just back up a little. I know it's hard as a race driver to realize that you need to either apply a little bit of brake or come out of the throttle a little bit, but get that 32 attached. They could really break away from this and start going towards the leaders.
Now look at this. You got Boyer and Stewart now right behind Leffler and Trevor Bayne. All this action continuing. The left side of your screen, you see those 3 cars. And here are the battle for the race leaders up front. We have 65 laps in the book here at Daytona. Our race presented by GoDaddy.com.
Under green, past halfway at Daytona. A reminder that ESPN, the home court of college hoops, continues today at 4 Eastern. Reggie Jackson and Boston College face the number 19 North Carolina Tar Heels, led by Tyler Zeller. Then at 6 Eastern, Isaiah Thomas and the Washington Huskies face a key contest against the ranked Pac-10 foe. They take on number 13 Arizona, led by Derek Williams. It's college basketball on ESPN today. Both games also available online at ESPN3.com and on your phone. A little past the 150-mile mark at Daytona International Speedway in today's NASCAR Nationwide Series season opener. From the pit studio, Alan with Rusty and Brad, watching the 2-car tango play out here today on the newly repaved Daytona International Speedway surface. Drivers figuring out that 2-car draft is going to be what separates them from the pack. And you're looking at the 2 twosomes that have separated themselves from 5th place by 6.5 seconds.
2 by 2, that's all I can remember all day long about this race. I've never seen any racing like this. Like it or not, we got it here, and they're running awful fast doing it this way. You got to have a teammate. There's no doubt about that. It's not a whole lot about the car right now. It's all about who you can hang out with and trust.
Yeah, and the real racing's going on from like 12th back through 25th. That's where the guys are really trying to figure out how they're going to go forward. The cats out front, Logano, Busch, Boyer, and Stewart, they're just kind of checking out on everyone and getting ready to sort it out amongst themselves. We've only got 48 laps to go.
All right, Trevor Bayne, we saw running among the lead foursome for a lot of the first half of this race. Now he's all the way back in 24th place, a lap down. That is his Roush Fenway teammate, Carl Edwards, who spent time behind the wall, who's come up to try and help push Trevor back up toward the free pass position. Meanwhile, fight for the lead there on the right as Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart, 33 and 4. Work on the Gibbs guys, Logano and Kyle Busch in 20 and 18. So the personal fight for the lead up front there between these two groups continues to put some distance on the rest of the field. Logano gets that lap. So Bayne with the flat tire a minute ago, remember, again dropped him a lap down. Carl Edwards spent 12 laps behind the wall, so he's now trying to help push Trevor up about 5 more spots on the racetrack to see if he can get in position to get the free pass at the next caution. That swap you're seeing right now between teammates Joey Logano in 20 and Kyle Busch in 18, it's all about communication. Listen.
Hey, 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 look who's back. Love you. I like you too. We're going to the outside unless you need to switch. Yeah, stay behind him. Switch into 1. Not really. You got to check up a little bit here.
And as Tony Stewart comes pushing by for the lead. Remember, after that last restart, Logano and Kyle Busch were separated by the double up on the restart when they got back together in the draft. That's obviously
having a little bit of fun.
They were celebrating.
Nice little Saturday afternoon ride.
All right, now car off the pace, back straightaway. Michael Annette, remember, involved in a crash earlier as the race for the lead. 2 by 2. Not necessarily the Daytona draft we've been used to seeing, but still double wide for the lead. Heads off to 3. We head upstairs to Marty Reed, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie.
And thank you so much, Alan, as we go back on board with Clint Boyer. The tough break for Trevor Bayne, but right now he's trying to get help from his Roush Fenway Racing teammate, Carl Edwards. We'll keep you posted as they try and push their way back. He's still in 24th position. He's got to pick up quite a few spots to get into that lucky dog position. These guys are now side by side and slowly but surely trying to open up a bit of a more gap. They're 5 seconds now ahead of Landon Castle and Brad Keselowski. They have teamed up. Castle restarted 31st. Remember, he was involved in one of the incidents earlier in the race.
Yeah, but he was a beneficiary of the little mishap we had with the 22 when he didn't get it full of fuel, so he had to start back in the pack. He's got a really fast car. He was up front. He was one of the lead tangos earlier, so he's got a good drafting partner, Landon Castle does, with Brad Keselowski.
Then right behind them is Reed Sorensen and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And then rounding out the top 10, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Danica Patrick.
Switching, 3 wide.
You heard him say switching. And boy, I think those two have made the switch faster, cleaner, more consistently than anybody else.
Well, they've made it more times, too. It looks like they can't run quite as many laps without switching, so they've had a lot of practice of doing it today.
But look, I mean, we've seen earlier where guys would lose 10, 12 car lengths. They're still right there.
Yeah, synchronized racing we've gone through here, but they're getting it done.
As long as they're not doing the backstroke, because right now the front stroke is all with Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer as they're ahead of Logano and Kyle Busch with 44 to go.
Start. The NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-mile season opener at Daytona. Coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. Coming your way on a beautiful Florida Saturday. Our aerial coverage presented by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. The two-car tag teams for the race lead. Clint Boyer 33, Tony Stewart 4, and the Joe Gibbs Racing teammates Joey Logano 20 and Kyle Busch 18. Stewart on his radio with his spotter a short while ago.
Hey, you got to have a girl take to the prom today. The what? Need a girl to take to the prom today for the dance. Yeah, I got one. I got this big blonde-haired chick in front of me.
Blonde-haired chick referring to Clint Boyer, the driver of that 33 car. And seeing another twosome begin to draw in on this race for the lead.
Take a look at Landon Castle and Brad Keselowski. They're really starting to run this group down. The rest of these guys keep swapping back and forth, trying to cool these engines off. And Keselowski and Castle are hooked up pretty good right now.
Yeah, they really are. And don't look too far back. We've got the 99 car, Michael Waltrip. He's made his way up into the top 10. He's also getting ready to work his way up towards these 6 cars and see if he can mix it up a little bit. We know he's good.
As we head back upstairs to Marty, DJ, and Andy, remember that at lap 15, Landon Castle in that red 1 car was spinning through the tri-oval grass. Now he's pushing his way toward the lead of this race, guys.
Yeah, he was 31st after that incident, Alan. And, boy, right now, there he is in that 5th spot.
Swap.
And they're going to make the swap.
That's the first time that's happened with these two. They have run this group down by Brad Keselowski staying behind, getting just enough air to keep his car from running hot. But that got him caught up to the leaders.
Well, Landon did a good job of making the swap, but boy, look how smooth and quick the 18 and the 20 make that exchange.
It's been pretty methodical with Landon Castle and Brad Keselowski here doing that. They were about 3 to 4 tenths of a second faster on average by not swapping.
Let's get more on Landon Castle, Dave.
And that's just a little bit of an experience on his part. Remember, he has a fast race car. That's his biggest asset. They got the grass off of the grill after that spin earlier. No other damage. Crew Chief Dick Harrison told me they just had a conversation with the 22 crew. They plan to be on pit road for the final time on lap 97.
All right, thanks, Dave. As you saw that 4 cars that they went around, putting them a lap down. Casey Kane's in that group. Trevor Bayne still trying to fight his way out of that mix, get back on the lead lap. And meanwhile, the front 4 going after each other again. Castle and Keselowski sort of lost each other.
Yeah, and that just shows just what Andy talked about earlier in the show was the experience factor. And whenever they made that swap, they have lost probably a second and a half, 2 seconds to these leaders now.
Crossing the stripe, we've now completed 85 laps. We've had 25 lead changes. The record here at Daytona is 35. Top of the hour. Glad that if you're just tuning in, you have missed an awful lot. Race leader right now is Clint Boyer, but you need a dance partner. As you've got Brad Keselowski with the fastest lap. Danica Patrick dropping back now to 13th. She was running up front for quite a while. Joey Logano, Kyle Busch up front, I should say right now. Back in 3rd and 4th, it is Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer with Brad Keselowski and Landon Castle dropping a little bit further back. They're 2 seconds behind the lead group. We have a total of 9 cars either off or out of this race. And as far as lead cars on the lead lap, 17. Bobby Santos, the 3rd, is the last car on the lead lap right now in 17th position. Mike Bliss is in the lucky dog spot. That gets you caught up. And stay with us because we've had 26 lead changes between 8 different drivers, and the record is 35. And here we go again. High side, the 4, Tony Stewart. Remember, he has won here 3 years in a row, 5 of the last 6. And his blonde-headed prom date pushing him right behind. He made that comment over the radio right before we came to the top of the hour. And boy, they're opening up some space.
Yeah, you can see the 22 and the 1 car back there with Keselowski and Castle. It looks like Keselowski's a better pusher than Landon is in that 1 car, and they've switched back again. We'll see if they can't now run them back down.
Let's go back a little deeper in the field. Running 16th and 17th is Danica Patrick and Bobby Santos. Third, great story on both of these cars, especially Bobby Santos. Let's talk about that 52. How about it, Vince?
What a great story it's been for Bobby Santos, Tommy Baldwin development driver running for Jimmy Means this weekend. Crashed early in the weekend, did not have a backup car. Dale Jr., strong relationship with Jimmy Means, said, we'll give him a car to run. So they rolled Eric Almirola's backup out for Santos. And he said, don't just get it in and park it. Get it in and race race it. And Santos has been doing just that. I think Dale Jr.'s a racer, but Santos showing he's quite a bit of racer too, having a good day. His first time ever racing in the Nationwide Series on a super speedway.
Santos was the 2010 Whelen Modified Series Championship, winning 4 times in 14 starts. A couple cars in front of him, Eric Almirola. He's also looking for a big year this year with Junior Motorsports. They're in the 88. You see his cycle since the restart there. These are the last 3 cars on the lead lap: Almirola, Patrick, and Santos. Joe Nemechek also having a good run right now. Front row Joe, who has the most pole positions here in Nationwide Series history with 5. He is in the 14th spot right now. And right in front of him is the 51 of Jeremy Clements. Let's get an update from pit road from Dave Burns.
And Jeremy's crew chief, Ricky Pearson, the son of the great Silver Fox, David Pearson, told me a little bit earlier that Jeremy needed a dance partner. I said, and early in the race, he had no idea who it would be. But then a little bit later, I checked with him. He said, I think Nemechek. And Joe's been running very, very fast all day, that 87 car. And so the 51 and the 87 may be buds for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, and you mentioned David Pearson. You interviewed him on Thursday during our practice. Remember that he was a winner here 6 times, including the 76 Daytona 500. And I think you asked him if he wanted to go out there and do this 2-car tango. He said, no way. While those guys continue to fight their way towards the front, the cars that are up front, Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer with Landon Castle and Brad Keselowski now have pushed their way back into 3rd.
Just over 50 miles to go. Here's our 5-hour Energy Rapid Recap. It's been all about the 2-car tango today.
Oh, you got to have a partner out there, and it's only 2 cars working. And it's not 3 or 4 hooked together, just 2. Kind of a weird deal. I've never seen this before, Brad.
Yeah. Danica Patrick does a good job, gets out early. Clint Boyer gets behind her, gives her some push, gets in the draft with him, learns a lot, dodges this wreck early. Michael Annette spins to the bottom. She just barely skates through. She's done a super job all day long. We saw a bad day for Elliott Sadler.
Elliott Sadler, Kenny Wallace among those caught up in that wreck. And here's Danica being pushed to the front in the draft and actually leading this race. At one point, she's back in 13th now. Carl Edwards, expected to be a contender today. Not so.
Yeah, and just having engine problems today, and he doesn't have anything to lose either because he's not in the points champion chase, so he's just out here racing, trying to win. See him talking to Jack Roush, trying to figure out what in the world went wrong with his Ford.
Electrical troubles. And the front 6. There are 3 sets of 2 now up the front in this race, all within 2 seconds at the front of the pack. Boyer and Stewart, Logano and Kyle Busch, Landon Castle and Brad Keselowski. Those are the top 6. Here's the final round of pit stops. Stock?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 1 can of gas only. They're going to sit here and make sure they get it all in. The idea here is he said now it's go time, or rather show time. He wants to hook up with a draft with a 30 car and go to the front. Logano and company coming back.
.22 of Brad. Vince, let's send it down to you.
Brad Keselowski has been up front much of the day today, but he's had to go to the back looking for a partner to get back up to the front. They're going to put in 1 can of fuel for Keselowski. Dave Burns.
And you see Landon Castle pulling away as well. That's his dance partner. Fuel for Landon as well.
So those 2 make their stops. They'll hook back together. And we're waiting to see what happens with Boyer and Stewart. And we're being told there will be a speeding penalty for Todd Bodine. Too fast entering. He has not been a factor in this race as far as being up front. The men up front, Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart, have yet to make their stop. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano also still out there. Then it drops from about another.
How we do it, baby.
Sound like Kyle's having fun.
The 99's in. Let's send it to Dave.
And for a while, he couldn't find anyone to draft with him. Casey Kane finally got locked together there in the 2-car draft with him, but they'll put in enough fuel for Michael to make it to the end, see if he can find another drafting partner. And last night's Truck Series winner is off of pit road, trying to go for 2. Vince?
Well, it's been an emotional day for Reed Sorensen. Remember, he found out just before the race they had to change a radiator fitting, so he started at the back of the pack. But he's hooked up with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The car's been good. Jamie Little.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. started out the day great, started 10th, went to the front with his partner, but he lost Trevor Bayne. He fell back. His partner now has been Reed Sorensen. He's down and away.
The 52 is also in, and Vince, he's heading your way.
Santos Jr., we documented what an eventful weekend it's been for him. Look, you just saw him slid through his pits. These mistakes you just can't make during this course of the race when you're trying to gain positions. So they're going to make, obviously, put some fuel in it. No tire changes for Santos, but he lost time when he rolled through the pits.
On the right side, you can see that it is Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart coming down pit road.
Yeah, and Kyle Busch, as you can see there, but his teammate and dancing partner stayed on the racetrack, Joey Logano, so it may be a little bit of miscommunication there.
It could be, but it's going to be really close to making it all the way. Dave?
Well, they've gone back and forth on which lap they were going to stop on. Haven't heard any confusion on the radio, but yeah, I saw Joey Logano flash by and thought, what in the world? Dance partner gone. Kyle comes to pit road, 2 tires only. Vince.
Tony Stewart trying to win this race for the 4th straight year. Fuel only. They discussed tires, but decided to go with the fuel. He's working with Clint Boyer. Jamie.
And Clint Boyer had a clean stop. No tires, filled it up with fuel. It was smooth. Danica Patrick as well was in. No tires and fuel for the 7 car.
And of course, this year the Sunoco fuel is E15, 15% ethanol. Danica Patrick, we can tell you that she made her stop as well. And here comes the 20. Doc.
Around that guy. Okay, turn it in. Leave it on me. Right side tires.
And you're listening to Joey Logano talk to Adam Stevens on the radio. They had told Joey to come in the previous lap with teammate Kyle Busch. He didn't get on the pit road, and now right side tires, 1 can of fuel. He'll have to make it up on the racetrack.
And see if he can get back out and team up again with his best dance partner, which has been his teammate Kyle Busch. Now the 52, Bobby Santos III, too fast, exiting. So a penalty for the 52. Meanwhile, there is Clint Boyer and his new date, the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Start for you.
Welcome back to the Drive for COPD 300 here at Daytona, and make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. We're under our 4th caution. We had debris out on the track, a nice big old hunk of metal, as you'll get a chance to see it fly off there and bounce around a little bit. Luckily, nobody ran over it that we were able to see, but they were able to get it off the track. And for the 9th time in the last 11 races here in February, the caution has fallen within the last 20 laps. We have 18 to go. We're up to 31 lead changes, and now let's go take a look at the last set of pit stops. Now, remember that Joey Logano did not pit with his teammate Kyle Busch. Well, maybe here's the reason why.
Well, you can see Clint Boyer pitting, and so is Tony Stewart. Look at that 18 car break away off that track and get down to pit road speed. Incredible.
Saw a little smoke out of that left front, though. I only locked that up. And
that's right.
He didn't change tires.
He did not change tires. So
it's a great move to get there.
4,600.
You heard them call 4,600. That's the RPM level that they want them on so that they don't get caught for speeding.
The way Kyle Busch drives, as long as it's got air in it, it'll be fine.
Okay,
I don't think it'll matter if it's square.
Well, we've got a moment. Let's talk about what's coming up on the rest of the weekend. And next week, we have Sports Center following us today at 4 Eastern here on ESPN2. NASCAR Now tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2, and then over on ESPN at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Our next race will be from Phoenix next Saturday at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. And the Straight Liners, the NHRA Winter Nationals, qualifying next Saturday 11 Eastern, and then the final Sunday at 7 Eastern, both of those on ESPN2.
Yeah, pit road was open the time before last, and we saw the 22 car, Brad Keselowski and Dale Jr. make pit stops for fuel just to have insurance that they could make it all the way.
Well, let's get an update from what happened on both the 22 and the 5. Vince.
Well, for the second time today, they felt like they didn't get enough fuel in that 22 for Brad Keselowski, so they had to come back a second time, put another can of fuel in it. They went ahead and changed 4 tires in the process. Doc?
And for Dale Earnhardt Jr., they did get enough fuel in his car, but they thought they would be okay to the checkered flag, but they would not make it for a green-white checker. They would run out on the white flag lap if it went green-white checker, so why not come in now and top it off, which is what they did for Dale Jr.
Now, if you're wondering how much damage it does to him, it's really not as bad as it may sound, because there are only 12 cars on the lead lap. Jason Leffler got the lucky dog, making him the 12th and final car on the lead lap. Danica Patrick is 13th. 1 lap down. Now, Eric Almirola may have some problems because we saw the hood just getting put back into position. He goes back out on the track. He is 1 lap down right now in the 20th position.
I think for Dale Jr., just having that 22 car back there to draft with is a huge advantage. The way he's been able to push cars, he pushed Landon Castle all the way to the lead earlier.
Yeah, and you speak of Landon Castle, I like his position right here too, because as I look who's going to line up behind him, that's Michael Waltrip.
Uh-oh.
As good as anybody here, he found a partner a while ago and really picked up a lot of speed. Landon Castle could be sitting in a good position.
Well, and don't forget, Michael Waltrip led only the last lap in last night's truck race, picking up his first win ever in that series. There he is in the 99. And for young Landon Castle, this is his first Nationwide Series start here at Daytona. And remember, he was involved in that 3-car incident back on lap 15 that brought out the very first of our 4 cautions.
Yeah, and that 1 car is no stranger to victory lane here either. The last time this car started on the outside pole was 1999 and went to victory lane with Randy LaJoie. Maybe Landon Castle can do it today.
All right, let's reset it for you because Kyle Busch has taken the inside line. DJ, I think you said you picked the outside?
Well, no, but he's got his teammate lined up behind him now. So until I saw what all was going to shake out there, that's exactly where he wants to be. He knows he's got his partner right with him.
On the outside, it's Boyer with Landon Castle right behind him. We're back to green flag racing here at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Oh, little contact up in front.
Uh-oh, a lot of contact.
Everybody's hanging on to it. That was Castle's car. I could see the Phoenix Racing on the logo on the side. He's got Michael Waltrip right there. That's the one in the 99. It looks like they're okay. Up front,
hey, look at Junior.
Here comes Junior right behind the Joe Gibbs Racing duo. Trouble. Keselowski has spun and coming back onto the track and gets tagged.
That's a hard lick right there.
Heavy damage to that whole right front corner on the 22 of Brad Keselowski.
Like Josh Wise on that 39.
And Josh, the whole front end of that Mustang is just shoved back.
Yeah, good to see that window net come down.
Yep, that's the sign. The 41 also involved in this. That's Patrick Sheltra.
Yeah, Patrick Sheltra just got tapped from behind as he was trying to slow down to avoid this.
Winning it down now on Keselowski.
So our defending series champion here late in the race with 15 laps to go.
Well, that's always scary. You see somebody come through the grass, through the trial, knowing they're coming right up in front of traffic. Nowhere to go.
So our 5th caution is now out, and boy, look at the damage on that car.
Got a great car today. Good to see him wave the crowd there.
You hear the crowd giving these guys a round of applause once they know they're okay and out of the car, and Brad's surveying the damage. I'll let you know that Casey Kane had gotten himself into the lucky dog position in 13th, so he will get the free pass, get back on the lead lap. Remember, he had a penalty earlier. That set his effort back. Brad makes the walk back down pit road towards his pit box, and let's go back and show you exactly what happened.
I see a little jockeying by Landon Castle. Actually kind of made an abrupt move in front of Keselowski. We saw that on the back straightaway too.
And then, wow, what a hard hit.
Well, Josh Wise just nowhere to go and just piles in there.
Yeah, it looked like Todd Bodine ended up with some damage on the front of his car there. I believe that's who that was that came in and got into the back of Josh Wise then.
From high above in the blimp. You're right, Landon did just come down a little too much.
There, Castle was thinking maybe he was clear, trying to get in front of Keselowski.
I was going to ask you, do you think he was maybe coming in to get back in line because they had worked together earlier? Boy, when he comes shooting back up across the track.
Man, see all that foam flying out of the door there.
All right, let's go back and listen one more time.
Check up. Stay where you're at right there. Watch your ass. You're clear up.
One more look, and the day is over for a couple of beautiful race cars. Oh, poor Josh Wise. He had nowhere to go. Stay with us. We're heading towards the checkered flag with 14 to go. With 12 laps to go here at Daytona, it has been a very eventful day for a lot of teams. A lot of beautiful new cars have been torn up. It has been wicked for some, very fast for everyone, and the two-car tandem has been the only way you can get to the front. That is the last caution that we have seen right there as Josh Wise comes together with the 22. Right now, Clint Boyer is the leader, and Tony Stewart is in second place, but Tony has a problem. Vince.
Well, you see it there, that right rear of Tony Stewart. Spotter Bob Jeffrey just radioed the crew and said, we got a flat right rear. Sure enough, now the pits are closed, but Stewart believes he needs to go ahead and come on in. Now they're going to open them up, so the pits are open. Stewart's going to go ahead and come. You see crew chief there taking a look, Bruce Cook, and communicating with Stewart in regards to the tire. Boy, this is a car that has been so good throughout the day today as he has worked with Clint Boyer to go to the front on a variety of occasions. Tony just said, no sense taking a chance. I got to go ahead and bring it to the pits.
Well, that's the bad news. The good news is there's only going to be 12 cars on the lead lap, so if he'll get back out, he'll only be in row 6.
Yeah, the big thing for him right now is to just take care of the body of that car so it doesn't get torn up. If he can get in there and get that tire change, he won't be at too bad a disadvantage. He'll have enough fuel and have good tires and enough time to maybe get to the front.
If there's anybody equally as disappointed as Tony Stewart, is Clint Boyer. He just lost his drafting partner that was going to help one of those two to possibly win this race.
It's funny how these dynamics have changed, and they've switched off on partners a couple times today. The two that have stayed together all day are these two that are coming down pit road right now, Kyle Busch and Joey Logano.
And right behind also you see the 32 of Reed Sorensen and Landon Castle. Let's send it to Doc.
Joey Logano coming down. They're going to make sure they top it off the field because of a green-white checker. They weren't completely sure they could make it. Dave.
Earlier, the Kyle Busch crew believed that they would be fine to the end, but this is how you stay with your partner and make it go till the end. The one car of Landon Castellan as well. They'll actually change 4 tires, make Landon a little bit grippier as well as get to the end of the road. Vince?
Well, the 32 of Reed Sorensen is going to go ahead and come as well. You see him pulling off there. They went ahead and made a 4-tire change, added a little fuel on it as well, just to make sure he didn't run over any debris. There's the crew of Tony Stewart. Now, this is his Cup crew, so certainly well-versed in handling this situation. Bruce Cook, the crew chief, you hear him there just saying, make sure, take your time. Make sure you get the grill clean. There's the leftovers of that right rear tire that had gone flat, but they want to make sure that there's no significant body damage on the right side and went ahead and take care of that left side tires as well.
Tear off comes off. Tony eases it back out onto the track, and as we said, he'll restart no worse than 12th.
Yeah, make sure he can see all that's going to happen in front of him.
It's going to be big.
Okay, while we were in commercial break, let's go ahead and catch up. We take this interview with Brad Keselowski and send it to Jamie Little.
And we just caught up with Brad Keselowski, who told us he is okay, Brad, but what happened from your perspective?
Well, I've been working with Landon Castle, and we had moved all the way through the pack and caught the leaders, and you know, I came in and pit. I wanted to make sure we could make it on fuel, and I think that was the right move. We got right back to Landon, and I was going to work with Trevor Bayne, and I kind of had audibled from working with Landon. I don't know, maybe Landon didn't get the message, but he pulled down in front of me while somebody was pushing, and you can't stop. And so we just ran into each other, and it's a tough place to run into each other on the front stretch of Daytona. There's nothing you can really do, but you know, I'm just impressed by my guys. You know, this is kind of a new team, and again, and our Discount Tire Dodge Challenger was extremely fast. I feel like we had a car that could definitely win this race, and I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
Glad you're okay. Brad Keselowski ends his streak of 102 straight races where he finished at the end. They will take him to the medical center now.
And that backs up what we were talking about, that we all thought maybe that's what Landon was trying to do, was get back down there with his dance partner. All right. Let's check in on some of the crew chiefs. First up, Doc, who you with?
I am with Sunshine. Chris Heroy, the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Chris, where does your help come from for Junior these final laps?
Well, right now it's looking like the 99, but you know, if Boyer gets away with a good start on the top, we'll link up with him. So see how it works out.
All right, looking for possible Michael Waltrip. And remember, folks, the 2001 Daytona 500, it was Waltrip and Earnhardt drafting by. Jamie.
And David Hyder is the crew chief for Clint Boyer, working together for the first time. You guys just lost your dancing partner there in Tony Stewart. What's the game plan now?
Well, I'm hoping the 5 car will get a hold of us and let us down in front of him and give us a push, but nobody's going anywhere without a dancing partner. I just hate Tony got caught up, had a flat tire there, and but it won't be long. He'll be back up there, so I wouldn't count him out.
Tony Stewart came on the radio and said to Clint, sorry about that, cuz, and Clint said, don't worry, man, you're not that far back. I'll wait for you.
Well, as we get ready to go back, 10 cars are either off or out of this race. We've already pointed out that a total of 12 will be restarting. Casey Kane gets the lucky dog. And you can see that in Eric Almirola's car, the guys are doing some extra duty work, trying to get that car back out. Almirola right now 1 lap down in 18th position.
Yeah, you hear these crew chiefs talking and the drivers. It's going to be politics that might decide this race, depending on who decides to work with who.
We've had 32 lead changes today. The track record is 35, set back in 1986. The all-time Nationwide Series mark is 36, set in April of 2007 at Talladega.
Still got a lot of cleanup going on the racetrack, so it's going to be a lap or two yet.
Yeah, pace lights are on, and the cars are still in single file. Saw Danica Patrick go through the screen, an update on her day. She is 14th right now, 1 lap down.
And these drivers are all now just kind of looking around and seeing exactly who's around them, who's going to be what's going to be their best opportunity, because they know that it's going to take a partner for them to have any chance of getting themselves to the front in these last 10 laps.
On board right there with Tony Stewart. A very good crowd today. The perfect weather. The grandstand's looking real good for this NASCAR Nationwide Series event here at Daytona International Speedway. And they have definitely seen a different style of race. If you can't do the 2-car 2-step, you're not going anywhere but to the rear.
No, we've been around a long time, seen a lot of different things take place here, but this has brought on something different. And it's a combination between the repaving of the track and this new car. The dynamics of all of that works to make these 2-car tandems hook up and work and go fast.
I also think it's something the drivers learned over the last few years. I mean, they've seen how this worked. We saw Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards pull it off for Keselowski to get his first win at Talladega. And, so I think it's something that they've learned how to do better. I think even if we went back to the old car and maybe back to the old tracks, they would still have some form of this, because once they learn it, you can't unlearn it.
Cleanup still continues down in the turn 1 area, and we're getting word now that they are going to stop the cars back on the backstretch because the cleanup is taking a lot longer than everybody had assumed in the beginning. We officially have 9 laps to go as of right now.
Yeah, there's no sense in burning up laps while they clean this mess up. It did drag a lot of grass on the racetrack, and you see a lot of debris from some of the cars, so they want to get it all cleaned up good for the finish here.
All right, so that'll give us a chance to step aside for just a few moments. 9 laps remaining here. We're under a red flag for the first time here in the Nationwide Series opener, our event presented by GoDaddy.com.
Here.
Tomorrow, ESPN and the Year of the Quarterback chronicles the incredible career of Conridge Holloway, the first African-American to ever start at quarterback in the SEC. ESPN's Year of the Quarterback presents The Color Orange, the Conridge Holloway story. It's tomorrow night at 8 on ESPN. We are under a red flag situation here with 9 laps remaining at the Daytona International Speedway, and it's because of a pretty wicked accident involving the 39 of Josh Wise, and Dave Burns has him.
Yeah, the good news is, Marty, that Josh walked out of the infield care center under his own power. How are you after that big hit?
I'm all right. I'm going to be a little sore probably tomorrow, so it's a bummer. I think my heart's hurt more than anything else. Just these guys worked really hard to get this thing here, and, we were really in a position we were just trying to stay out of trouble, and I think it was the 22 car got turned or cut off or something and down in the infield, and, you try to get where you shoot through those holes or you have to make a decision of where you're going to go, and it looked like I was going to be able to squeak around the outside there, but the hole closed up real quick. So that's it for us.
Too bad for him, and it'll be it for a little while for him. At the end of March, we'll see him again in Fontana in that 7-car, guys, but nothing planned until then.
All right, thank you, Dave, and better luck for Josh Wise down the road. There is Dale Earnhardt Jr., and across the top of your screen, we'll put in the current running order as we get you up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. While we're watching the run order across the top of the screen, we'll tell you that there are right now officially 11 cars on the lead lap. There should be 12 when Casey Kane gets the lucky dog. And of course, the man who's going to have a front row seat for what could be a very exciting last 9 laps is that man right there, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And it was just 17 years ago exactly today that Dale Sr. won his record 7th and last nationwide race at Daytona. And Jr. right behind him with 6. Let's talk to him. He's our in-race reporter, DJ.
Hey, Junior, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Sure do.
Hey, man, know you're taking a little break there. Been an eventful day. What I'd like to know is, have you seen any change with the new surface as this day has progressed?
No, not till just now. I don't know what they got going over in turn 1, but I hope that another fluid out of that car eats the racetrack up.
All right, I know that your position either on the inside or outside is going to be determined by what Boyer is going to do and what he's going to choose. Have you decided who you would rather be working with here, or is it going to be you and Boyer making a deal?
He's going to the top, and he may get back in front of me, but I got a partner and Michael behind me if I need that. But we'll see what happens. Who knows, man? It's gambling. We don't really know what's going to happen.
Hey, we've all been talking about just how different this racing has been, something that we haven't seen here ever, really. What's it like from the driver's seat in trying to get paired up like this? You enjoy this, or you like the big packs better?
I don't like pushing somebody the whole time. Makes me a little nervous, but so I just kind of rode around today until it was time to go. We'll see what we can do. I pushed a little bit for a little practice, but we should be good.
Are these cars pretty similar in trying to make all of this two-car work as what you'll see with your Cup car tomorrow?
I ain't sure. It's about the same, I guess. It's just, I don't know. I don't really like the race the way it is, but it's the way it is. So we'll just do the best we can. And it's real similar to what we'll see tomorrow. We'll probably see it done even better tomorrow. So I think there's 43 cars out there. You'll see about 22 car packs.
Okay, man. Good luck to you, and whatever you choose and what partner you get here, hopefully you can win this thing, buddy.
Thank you.
So our red flag situation ends at 5 minutes and 46 seconds, and they are refired and back under caution. And you know, you heard Dr. Jerry Punch, and you even heard Dale Jr. talk about Michael Waltrip. They have finished 6 times at Daytona in all events, and Jr. has won 4 of those. So don't be surprised if you see those two hook up again.
Yeah, that's not by accident that they do that, finish 1-2. These two guys really understand the draft and the effects of it and how to get paired with each other and make it work.
Of course, it was an emotional night last night for Michael Waltrip as he came from second place on the very last lap to get around Elliott Sadler and to take the win, the first ever in the Truck Series for Michael, but exactly 10 years to the day that we lost Dale Sr., and he was very overcome in victory lane.
Like Junior felt pretty confident that he had a couple of options there because feels good about having Michael push him, but if Boyer gets up in front of him, he'll just take that option too. So he's got a lot of options ahead of him.
Okay, let's talk about the restarts. We've noticed it takes time for these cars to spool up to speed. Let's check in with Tim Brewer at the Craftsman Tech Garage.
Hey, Martin, during the week, we've changed this tapered spacer several times. But NASCAR, they couldn't get to the point to where they wanted to slow the cars down. So what they did, they increased the size of the tapered spacer, but they went back and put an old-style restrictor plate under it. What that does, the air flows really smooth on the tapered spacer, but when it hits this ledge on the restrictor plate, it causes a lot of reversion. When the guys get out of the throttle, it takes a long time to recover, but as well, when they're going through the gears, trying to get up to speed, it slows the cars down as well.
Thank you, Tim, and you get a great view of it from both above and below there as Pace car has got the field in tow once again. They're back on the back stretch. We now have 8 to go. All right, let's talk about the Clint Boyer situation. He's going to restart on point. Let's listen in on the radio. What's the strategy?
Well, it'll come down to what dancing partner we got and how hard they can push us, my friend. Done a well of a job today. We appreciate it.
We ain't done yet.
We'll get it.
Now, the big question is, I mean, you said it yourself, you'd rather be in that number 2 position like we saw last night where Michael Waltrip slingshots around.
Well, I don't know. He's got a fast car, and you know what I like is Clint Boyer. He chooses that outside here, which looks like what he's going to do. He's going to have really good options. He can either get a good start and have Dale Jr. behind him, or he can stay up there and probably the best pusher we've seen all day in Trevor Bayne push him to the win.
Trevor Bayne's going to restart in the 4th position. How about Goodyear? Tip of the hat to them, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven.
I have to say they've done a good job with the tire here today.
You know, we talked about the guys that are changing positions on the track. How about the spotters up above us here in the press box area, because there they are making their deals, and every time they team up with another guy, they got to go find that spotter because they can talk to him side by side. Let's talk a little bit about the deals in the pits also. How about it, Vince?
Well, certainly Tony Stewart has been shuffled back a little bit because of that flat tire, but his crew chief, Bruce Cook, has had some visitors. That's Nick Harrison in the 1 car, says they'll stick with him to the very end. Mike Kelly in the 6 car, Ricky Stenhouse, got up and said, we can lead you, but we can't push for more than about a half lap. So they've let Tony Stewart's crew know exactly what kind of help they can give if Stewart chooses to go with them. They've passed that word on to the spotters. The spotters have had communication. Everybody seems like they're ready to go. By the way, Stewart said, 9 laps, I got plenty of time left to get done what I want to do.
And he's going to restart 11th alongside of 12th place Casey Kane. That's the only cars left on the lead lap. From there on back, everybody's at least 1 lap down. And it is Boyer, Earnhardt, Waltrip, Bayne, your top 4. Then Stenhouse, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano through 7. 8th is Sorensen, 9th is Castle, 10th is Jason Leffler. Let's get a quick update on Danica Patrick's day. She's running well, Jamie.
She sure is, and under that red flag condition, she came on the radio and she was talking about what she learned earlier in the race when Clint Boyer hooked up behind her and pushed her to the front. Remember, this is all about learning. This is only her 2nd time here at Daytona. She's taking it all in. She's having a good time, too. So watch what she does here as we just have 8 laps here in the closing times here. But remember, her best finish in the Nationwide Series is 19th. Right now, she sits 14th.
Yeah, she did a good job as the pushee, but when it was her turn to push, that's when she ran into some problems. All right, the pace car is getting ready to come off. Think about this. Tony Stewart is restarting 11th. Well, at the beginning of this race, he went from 14th to the lead in the first 3 laps of the race. When we come by, there will be 6 laps remaining. Hold on, because here we go. Boyer on the high side. Down low, it's Earnhardt Jr. Green flag flies. We're racing at Daytona again. Coming out of turn 2, Dale Jr. has his choice. He's got Waltrip behind him, but he is right there with Boyer right now.
Looks like Boyer made his decision real quick there. He pulled down right in front of Jr.
Yeah, he wanted that experience. Nothing against Trevor Bayne. Trevor Bayne got shuffled back, and he's out of the picture for the moment.
And it looked like maybe Michael Waltrip got shuffled as well. There he is all alone down on the low side of the track. There goes Reed Sorensen with his help. Landon Castle in the 1 right behind with Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Tony Stewart's got a big push now on this 1 car. Let's see if they can go to the front.
This time by 5 laps remaining here at Daytona. Let's get more on the 1 car. Dave.
Marty, they thought if the 4 got up to the 1, they told Landon, just let him get up there and then he won't have a choice. He'll push you. He will be your partner.
Well, they have made the connection, and here they come. Down on the low side of the track. 21-year-old Landon Castle has a 5-time winner stuck on his rear bumper. They go past Reed Sorensen.
They're catching the leaders here, too.
There
a lot of momentum.
Joe Gibbs Racing Duo. And then in front of them, it is Clint Boyer, followed by Dale Earnhardt Jr. 6 cars right now in this freight train. This time by 4 laps remaining here at Daytona.
Yeah, I was kind of laughing to myself as we talked about all these different scenarios during that red flag period. We didn't even mention Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, but they certainly are going to have a say-so in who's going to win this.
Well, they've been there all day long. You can see right there Joey Logano trying to push Kyle Busch.
They have been the best at the exchange, but I have a feeling right now nobody's going to agree to make it the exchange until we get down to the last lap. Here we go down the backstretch.
And even then, I don't think they'll agree.
What's that? We're teammates for 119 laps, and then we're going to go race on that last one.
Okay, here come the teammates, Turner Motorsports teammates on the high side.
They're trying to make it an 8-car. Look out, trying to split the middle. Castle
looking for a hole.
On the high side, here come the Joe Gibbs teammates. Who's going to lead at this time? It is Kyle Busch. We have our 33rd lead change.
Okay, just 3 laps to go. They've got to make a decision now.
No room unless you want to really go high, and nobody's been willing to do that up front. It's basically been side by side through all the turns.
It's just a matter here who can stay latched on the very best. Make this 2-car tandem work.
Boyer and Dale Jr. push their way out, and right behind him, Castle comes along with Tony Stewart. They do make the change. Logano goes back in front of the 18. That's going to allow the 32 of Reed Sorensen, along with Jason Leffler, to come up alongside.
That may have sealed the Joe Gibbs fate by having to make that switch.
2 laps to go.
Comes Castle and Stewart now. Still, they got a lot of momentum up on the top side. See if they can carry it by.
Is he going to push that car by? Well, as you see Tony Stewart duck out now.
Tony makes the switch.
And we haven't seen Castle be able to latch on and do quite as good a job when he was with Brad Keselowski earlier on.
They made a pretty good exchange right there, but it looks like they may get shuffled a little bit.
I've got a question why they would make that change with just 2 laps to go. I would let it blow water out. If it got hot, so be it.
I was really wondering if Tony Stewart was going to push someone else by his teammate up there with Kevin Harvick Incorporated.
Well, they've dropped back because the Joe Gibbs pair, Logano and Busch, have gotten around them. How about 10th and 11th through 12th? That's Michael Waltrip right along with Casey Kane. Then the 2 Fords back to the battle up front. White flag is out. Here we go. Who's going to win it at Daytona?
We see Reed Sorensen.
Oh, look out.
Okay,
Logano into the wall. He caroms off. Everybody else gets by. He'll go back into the wall. The white flag's still out. No caution on the racetrack.
Racing that into turn 3. Junior's right on the bumper of Clint Boyer.
Does he make history? Dale Earnhardt Jr. or does Clint Boyer win? And here comes Tony Stewart. He's getting the push from Castle. Coming out of 4. This is really going to be close.
Here goes Junior to the inside.
Junior to the inside. Boyer takes the lead and holds on, and at the stripe, it's Boyer. Stewart. I thought it was Boyer, but Tony Stewart does it.
Wow.
Holy God.
Oh.
They're saying Boyer's the winner. That was too close to call.
I thought so too, and then the scoring monitor came up and said Stewart. It looked like Boyer had it, and NASCAR is saying it is Clint Boyer.
Well, Tony Stewart doesn't know that.
Now we're holding 4. Nope, it is official.
That's now Tony Stewart.
It is
Great
official.
job, buddy. Great job.
Woof.
4 in a row, baby.
4 in a row is right.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. 6 out of the last 7. Tony Stewart, his 16th Daytona win. And the streak continues. He's won at least one event since 2005 during Speed Weeks. Let's go back and take another look at this, because this was oh so close.
There it is.
It's right at the very front. 7 1/1000ths of a second. Incredible.
Oh, my.
Just incredible.
How does he find his way there every single time?
Well, you asked why he got around the exchange on Landon Castle. Now we know. He said, Castle, push me, buddy.
Landon Castle did a fantastic job of getting on Tony's bumper and pushing him right there. You saw Boyer try to make the block and then got back down with Junior. Woof.
Well, while Tony gets turned around to start the celebration, let's check in with Vince Welch.
Bruce Cook, the crew chief for Tony Stewart. Stewart has won 4 in a row, but I'll tell you what, you couldn't get much closer than that. What do you think your chances were when you had to go back to 11th with 9 laps to go after that flat tire?
I'll tell you, he's amazing, and our chances were really good. When the race started, we started 14th. We didn't qualify as good as we wanted to, but by lap 3, we were leading. So when we had that problem there on pit road, and I told him, I said, hey, man, there's 9 laps to go, and lap 3 you were leading last time, and you can't tell him nothing. He assured me everything's good. He's got plenty of laps left. So what a great job by KHI. I want to thank Nabisco and Oreo and everybody involved with this thing. It was great. My first race to come down here and do this with him is awesome. Thank you to Kevin Delana, everybody at the Fab Shop, and everybody that's worked really hard in these cars. Ernie Cope, everybody.
Well done. Tony Stewart, the winner.
And the salute to Dale Earnhardt Sr., the three fingers out the window of our race winner, Tony Stewart, and an oh-so-close finish. He restarted 11th with 6 to go and won it by 7/1000th of a second.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Daytona is presented by GoDaddy.com, domains, websites, and everything in between. And in part by Carfax, free at your used car dealer. Just say, show me the Carfax. And Viagra.
Well, we tied the record for 35 lead changes here amongst 8 different drivers, and maybe on Saturdays we should rename this Stewart International Speedway, because here he comes, 4th time in a row, Vince.
6 years ago today, Tony Stewart won his first ever Nationwide Series race, and he has been dominant here at Daytona ever since. He has now won this race 4 times.
And we apologize for the technical difficulties. Back at Daytona as Tony Stewart continues to celebrate in victory lane his 4th consecutive win in the NASCAR Nationwide Series season opener. More post-race coverage from the Nationwide Series coming up. But right now it's time to look ahead, as with this Nationwide Series race in the books, there remains but one event to be run in Speed Weeks. Tomorrow, the 53rd running of the Daytona 500.